So before gloves start popping,
diving, he makes the catch,
and bats start cracking,
it is gone!
We bring you the voice of Bay Area baseball for the past 29 years.
As I always say, baseball reflects what life is all about.
This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie.
That's what we do. We talk ball.
On KNBR, the sports leader.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Talkin' Baseball on this Sunday morning as we get ready for Game 3 between the Colorado Rockies and the San Francisco Giants. Can they top yesterday? Giants win at 14-4 over the Rockies yesterday. They put it away by a big 6-run eighth inning, and they win at 14-4 over the Rockies. And that man, again, he did it. That's what they used to call Stan Musial, that man. And that man, Luis Matos, did it again. 6 RBIs for Luis Matos yesterday, a big 3-run homer to start the game in the first inning, and the Giants really never looked back after that. It got to be 5-3 at one point, but the Rockies with their pitching and their middle relief was just a matter of time till the Giants got back into it. But for Luis Matos, this kid is just unbelievable, and he's making the most of it. And as we've said on the show last year, we said it this year, he makes contact. He doesn't strike out a lot, and that's a big deal. And he's starting to hit with more power. I said over the winter he bulked up a lot, and it hurt him a little bit in spring training. He didn't have a good spring training. Didn't have a great time at Sacramento either. But in the big leagues, come on, he's unbelievable. 6 RBIs for him yesterday, 5 RBIs the day before. That's 11 in 2 games. There's all sorts of records going on. He's got 11 RBIs in the 2 games at 22 years or younger. He's now the youngest ever to do it for the Giants, knocking Orlando Cepeda out of the record books. He's got 17 RBIs in 6 games, and you go on and on and on. The guys today, I'm sure, will give you all the statistics, but let me tell you something. He's got a lot of RBIs, and he's been carrying this team the last couple of days. And he's knocking Jack Clark out of the record books, the great Hall of Famer Bill Terry, and things like that. So it puts it in perspective for what Luis Matos is getting done. It's been fabulous to watch it, and the kid's got to play. And he played good center field yesterday. You know, it's funny. Midweek he had trouble in center field, and Andy Bagley, I saw the tweet, and I didn't disagree with it. So we've kind of seen enough of Matos in center field. Wow. I don't think we have. He made one of those catches yesterday, robbing probably another home run over the fence, and made a nice play. And he's sort of settling in. And that's my point. Yesterday, and I said it, the Giants picked up a waiver player yesterday, McKenna from the Orioles. And I said, boy, here we go again, lightning in a bottle and all that. You can do all you want with the depth at Sacramento, and maybe they need some depth at Sacramento, and that's why you did this, picking up a player like that for the 40-man roster. But don't put the pressure on Luciano. Don't put the pressure on Matos or Ramos. Let them play. Even if they slump, let them play. The Giants are going to be in this thing. I said it yesterday. And when you look at the last 2 playoff spots, the Cubs are looking good. They are. This Imanaga is pitching great, and he knocked Fernando out of the record books yesterday. We'll talk to the professor about that. The Cubs are good. They're solid. They've got some good pitching. But then there's 6 or 7 other teams. 10 teams in this league are playing under 500 baseball right now. Giants, one of them. And when it comes to these last 2 playoff spots, any of these teams can get it. And the Giants, with their starting pitching, which should get better, even though Alex Cobb looks like it's trouble, should get better as the summer goes on. They're going to be right in the middle of it. So let these kids play. That's my point. If you need to get the depth, they signed 2 players from the Mexican League. If they need depth at catcher, depth in the outfield, fine, do it. But don't put pressure on these kids. Don't put the pressure. Let them play. Let them play. Look, Lee's out for the year. Conforto will come back. Slater will come back. And then we'll see what the story is at that point, how you want to do it. But I said Soler was going to get hot, and he did. He's ready. I'll tell you, he's ready to play. And Chapman, and the professor said this midweek, Chapman goes 4 for 4 yesterday. The Giants got 9 doubles yesterday. Come on, Chapman is on fire. Guy's hitting over 400 in the last 7 or 8 games. His defense is fabulous. And now his swing is better. And Woe pointed that out. We'll talk about that with Woe when he comes on in just a little while. And he's got 4 for 4 yesterday. The ball club had 9 doubles yesterday. 9 doubles. I like doubles. Doubles are good. Doubles drive in runs. Doubles put you in scoring position. Whenever I look at the playoff teams at the end of the year, one of those stats that I look at, doubles. I like a team that hits a lot of doubles. In the playoffs, you don't hit a lot of home runs. You're facing good pitching. But if you can hit doubles in the playoffs, you got action. And the Giants got 9 doubles yesterday, and they just kept the bases moving and kept the runners moving and ended up winning the game 14-4. Luciano, a couple of doubles for him, played nicely in the field. And I say there's no reason in the world to take this kid out. The bat is alive for me. It always has been. And now he's got to play good defense. And Will and I will talk about that a little bit too. But for Matos, he was a story, and he's been the story all week long against the Dodgers with the 3-run homer against Yamamoto. And, of course, 6 RBIs yesterday, 5 the day before, 11 in 2 games. He's under 22. He's got all sorts of records as a San Francisco Giant and a New York Giant as well. How about that? So that's fun. It's fun at the ballpark. And the thing about the Rockies, and I said this to Raf earlier today, you know when you have a house guest, some house guests you like and some you don't. Sometimes as a house guest you say, boy, what a good house guest. They make their bed, they'll cook a meal for you, they'll clean the house, they'll go to the store, they'll tell you a few jokes, and you really say, boy, it's great having them here. Then other house guests, you can't wait to get rid of them. Well, the Rockies are that house guest you like, and you wish they could stay for a long time because their pitching is really challenged. And the Giants, what, 21-5 against the Rockies, some unbelievable number now. In the last 26 games, they're like 42-14. They just have the Rockies number in San Francisco, and they're a great house guest. You don't want them to leave. You like them to stay for a while. Unfortunately, this is the end of the series today. Now, they are a professional team. This is not a Little League team. These are professionals, and they've been embarrassed the last couple of games. They don't have any pitching, and the pitching they do have has been very inconsistent. So they're a challenged team, and they're professionals. They're going to give the Giants a game today. Dakota Hudson is going to pitch for the Cardinals. He was a Cardinal. He's going to pitch for the Rockies today. He's 1-6 on the year with a .613 earned run average. The Giants did see him in Colorado. He couldn't get the ball over the plate. 3 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, 5 walks, and 2 strikeouts. On the year, 39 innings, 25 walks, 23 strikeouts. You know, I do these stats all the time. You just don't see that for a starting pitcher. He did win 16 games as a Cardinal a couple of years ago, and Thomas Harding, who covers this team for MLB.com, told us that even in those days he walks people, but he better not walk a lot of people today. I'll tell you that. Not the way the Giants are swinging the bat. But he is a pro, and he is going to be challenged today, and the whole Rockies team will be challenged today. They do not want to be embarrassed. So this is going to be a better game than I think. All right, now, first pitch, Dakota Hudson. Batters are, I got to look at it again, 17 for 27. 17 for 27. That's almost 667 on the first pitch, that 0-0 pitch. He's probably trying to throw a strike because he can't throw many strikes. And, boy, the Giants and other teams are just ambushing him. 17 for 27. Wade, 2 for 5 with a homer against him. That's about all that jumps out at me. All right, on the Giants side today, it's Jordan Hicks going for the Giants. He's a right-hander, 3-1 on the year. He's been terrific. Slowing down a little bit lately, which is not unusual. This is a guy who does not pitch a lot of innings in his career. He's been a reliever, and he's already pitched 48 innings. He's getting close to his career high of, I think it's 65, something like that. But 48 innings for him, 39 strikeouts, 16 walks, only 2 homers given up. Righties 21 for 100 against him. Lefties 18 for 76. That's 237. The opponent's batting average is 222. With 2 out, with runners in scoring position, he's been terrific. 1 for 14. So when he gets in trouble, he's got that wipeout split. He's got that slider as well, and he also can throw 98 if he needs it. So he's just got to be paced. That's what the Giants are doing with him. In his last game against Colorado, 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs. They took Harrison out yesterday with a lead after 5 innings. They're not going to push Harrison and Hicks a lot. And this middle relief is very important. Jelly has been terrific. I can't say enough about him. Eric Miller has been terrific. We'll see where Mason Black fits in. You know, the Pirates look like they're going to shift to a 5-man rotation, which means Paul Skeens is going to pitch. It looks like the Giants are going to get Paul Skeens on Thursday, and this Jared Jones on Wednesday. Now, Snell should get Jared Jones, but on Thursday, it could be Mason Black, and maybe he'll pitch in long relief. We'll see. But the Giants are going to need some relief today because they're not going to push Hicks very far, and they don't have to do it. In May, Hicks's last 3 games, he's gone 14 innings, 18 hits, 7 runs given up. Now, the big bugaboo for him, if you get on, which is hard to get on against him, 5 stolen bases and 1 caught stealing. Looking up and down the lineup, Blackman 2 for 5. I like this kid Beck. He's 1 for 2. He was a big star at Tennessee, University of Tennessee, UT, as they say. Can't spell the citrus ball without UT in it, as we said when I went to Florida. McMahon 1 for 5, but Beck's a nice player. Rogers 1 for 4, Tovar 1 for 4. So we'll see what the Rockies can do against Jordan Hicks today. Dodgers win yesterday. Buehler pitched a great game. Six innings, 3 hits. Boy, if they get Walker Buehler back, now it's against the Reds, who are challenged offensively. We know that. But he did go 6 innings yesterday. Reds got beat 4-0. San Diego was rained out. They'll play today. They're the late game today, and it'll be Elder and Darvish there. Arizona gets walloped again by Detroit. Javier Baez, how about him? He had a big day yesterday. Zach Gallen left, giving up 3 runs, and then the bullpen Manaply got killed after that. So Detroit wins a big game, and now the Giants have leapfrogged the Diamondbacks. Giants are 22-25, Diamondbacks 21-25, San Diego 23-24. So I still think the Giants are the second-place team in this National League West, and I think they're going to have a very, very good summer. We have our Original Joe's contest going today at Baseball Marty on Twitter. Guess the score of today's game, and you can win dinner for 2 at Original Joe's. So we've got that going, and we have some other stuff that we'll talk about as the show goes on. All right, the Professor next, right here. KNBR 680, 104.5 on a beautiful Sunday morning. I like Sunday baseball. Sunday baseball is cool. All right, more coming up right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Fans, nothing better than spending an afternoon at the Priest Ranch Wine Tasting Room in Yountville. You can relax as you enjoy a selection of limited production estate wines paired with local artisanal cheese and charcuterie. Your host will guide you through each unique pairing while sharing the incredible story of Priest Ranch. Now, while you're there, you must try the food at our new restaurant, The Kitchen at Priest Ranch. It's right next door to the Priest Ranch Tasting Room and serves amazing, fast, casual food. That's an afternoon.
Time now to go to Sunday school with the professor.
Hey, Professor, take it easy, will you?
Giants coach Ron Wotus with Marty Laurie.
I didn't know you wanted to get involved with the discussion, Mr. Helper.
On your home of Giants baseball.
Good answer. I like the way you think.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Brought to you by River Islands, one of the country's top-selling master plan communities just across the Altamont in Lathrop. Where else can you live on a lake next door to a park or walking distance to your kid's new school? With 10 new neighborhoods, River Islands is the one place you can't afford to miss.
All right, great to have you back with us as we get ready for baseball today. A couple of shout-outs here. One to our good friend Stefan down in Las Vegas. Bottom Line Bets, and always a lot of fun during the football season to follow him. He's pretty good, Bottom Line Bets. And to Chuck Smith, a very good friend of mine, and set up a couple of rounds of golf for my son Evan and his friend Mike. And he did that because I don't play golf, and I made a speech and said, Chuck, can you get this set up for Evan? And he took care of business. So, Chuck Smith, thank you very much. And we bring in the professor. Good morning, Whoa. How are you?
Good morning, Marty. I'm doing well. No golf for you, huh, Marty? No golf?
No. Now, this about 30 years ago, I was playing at Frenchman's Creek, which was the old Jackie Gleason course in Florida. My friend Michael Gaines, his father, built Frenchman's Creek, and we played golf. And I hit the ball once in a while, but then I was on the tee, and I hit the driver in the ground and broke the driver in half. And I said, that's it for me. I'm done.
That's a sign to quit. Yeah. Well, I've done that many times, but I still try to hit the ball. So it's a great game.
Yeah, but Chuck Smith took care of this. I did a speech at the Olympic Club, and I don't play golf, and he set this up for a couple of rounds of golf for Evan and his friends. So it was nice of him to do that. That was cool. Yep. Hey, how about Luis Matos? Whoa, what can I say? I mean, every time the guy comes up in a big situation, if it's fielding now, he's getting more comfortable in center, and he went wild yesterday, and for the whole week he's been something.
Yeah, you know what? He's given us a jolt, which we needed, obviously. Home runs, too. I mean, look, if you look at him last year, and, he has good bat-to-ball skills. He's got a good idea of the strike zone. But he had a lot of fly balls that were landing at the warning track. And this year, with the work he put in this winter, with all the strength work, he's got bigger, he's got stronger, and you can see he's really driving the ball. But he's always been a good hitter, but the extra strength has really paid off for him, and he's been our best hitter since he's been up here. So it's great to see that him contributing like that, like a lot of the young guys are.
But how about the two catches, though? He made one yesterday. Then he's nominated for an ESPY or whatever you call it for the catch he made the other day against Hernandez.
Yeah, that was a really, really nice catch he made going back. He was under control. He got back near the wall. He did it perfectly. He didn't jam himself into the wall, but he got back there, and unfortunately, he had enough time where he could time his jump. He knew he was going to hit the wall, but he reached up and took the home run away. And a lot of times when your arm goes over the fence like that, I think he smashed his face into that padding. And that's what makes it so hard is there's that padding sticks out, then you have the chain link behind it. It's like that at a lot of ballparks. But when you hit it, it's not like you're hitting, the surface the same way. So fortunately, he was able to hold on to the ball, and it was a great catch in the game.
Boy, 9 doubles yesterday. I said this earlier. I like doubles. You get in the playoffs. It's hard to hit home runs. You hit doubles in the playoffs, you got action all the time.
I love doubles, too, and I think that is obviously the runs we scored the last 2 days. And, everybody's joining the party now. Soler, Chapman, there's a lot of guys swinging the bat, and this is what this club is capable of doing. But you said it. It's just not singles. Doesn't always have to be home runs, but if you can find the gaps, a lot of good things will happen.
Yeah. Chad, you brought this up, during the week. We texted, and you said Chapman was ready to break loose. You thought his swing looked a little flatter, looked better.
Yeah, he's been working hard, like all the guys do. They know what their flaw is, and the key thing is to be able to bring your instruction and your hard work into the game and be able to do it. When you've been doing stuff your whole life in this game, sometimes it's a little difficult, can be a little more difficult to make certain adjustments, but he's made some adjustments. He's hitting the ball the right field. As you can see now, he's staying on the baseball better, and I think his bat's a little more direct to the ball. His timing is better, so there's a lot of good things happening there for him.
Yeah, boy, the defense is impeccable. I love watching the guy. You said this earlier in spring training. You told me he puts his face in the dirt. He gets down there, and he gets those ground balls and throws her right to first. But he did a play this week on the base paths that was pretty good, and he stole third, like on a delayed steal. Number one, you don't see a delayed steal that often to go to third, but that was a good play, and he read the defense. I thought that was a good play.
It was a very good play, and ever since these third basemen back in the shift era, where the shortstop would be on the other side of second, and these third basemen play way off the line towards short. When you're standing there in the third base coaching box, or you're looking from the stands, you're going, wow, that third baseman is a long way from third. And, that was the case yesterday. There was no shift, but the third baseman's way off the line. And there's two ways to try to steal the base. It's just break normally. But if you break normally, the third baseman's going to break when he sees you break and probably beat you, even though he's a long way off. But the delay steal is great, because when he takes that one shuffle, the third baseman doesn't think he's coming, and now it's a race to the bag. And, a lot of times you've seen that ball thrown into left field because third baseman's catching it on the run. He's got a tag on the run, and it was a little closer probably than we had liked, but he definitely got in there. It's a good play, but it can be a risky play. I remember I did it with Pablo. I was coaching third. We were in Cincinnati, and, the third baseman was way off. Suarez is way off the line. They were in a shift. I'm going, Pablo can make it over here. Shoot. I mean, look where he's playing shortstop. So I sent Pablo. He came to third. The throw to third was a perfect throw. Suarez was on the run. He goes to catch it. He would have tagged him out, but he dropped the ball, and Pablo was safe. And I got back in the dugout, and Butch goes, "What are we doing?" And anyway, thank God he dropped the ball, or Butch would have got me a little more than just saying, "What are we doing?" So I remember that play like it was yesterday.
Did Pablo go in face first to the belly flop?
Oh yeah, belly flop in there, and it was a big play for me. I was so happy that he was safe.
Funny. Hey, look, Jelly has pitched great. Look, starting in that Philly series, he's got command. He's throwing harder. He's throwing strikes. That slider is under command. Well, I like middle relief. And look, Harrison went 5, Hicks today. They're not pushing these guys because there are innings limits on these guys. Middle relief has become very important. Miller is doing a good job there, but Jelly especially, and it made me think a little bit. The playoffs, Lincecum. Remember when you guys made him I called him the Golden Gate Bridge to the core 4 guys. That middle relief is very important. How did you convince Lincecum to do that?
Well, Timmy was pretty easy in that regard. I mean, Boat sat down with him and told him, "Hey, look, this is where we need you. We're going to use you more than one game. You can be a real weapon for us." And with the stuff he has, it's electric, to your point. So we were able to use him in the series more than one game, and we felt good about our other starters. So that's a great point. He became an extremely valuable part because he could use him more. And as you're saying with the Giants here, with not pushing Harrison and Hicks all the time, and some of these guys not getting deep into the game, I mean, middle relief is as important as it always been. It's usually your weak link, though, on the team. Usually you want guys that can throw the 7th, 8th, and 9th, and you have your starters. But if you don't get deep into the game, that middle relief long guy could be a weaker spot on your club. But in our situation, as you just mentioned, with Miller coming in, Jelly is pitching extremely well. He's commanding the ball, as you said. He's throwing harder. And that slider, I didn't realize it. Kruk was calling it a knuckle curve. It is. He does spike his finger. It's actually a knuckle curve ball. It's more of a drop pitch than an actual, break to the left slider type pitch. But his location's been good. and both those guys have been extremely valuable.
Boy, when I hear knuckle curve, Bert Hooton. Remember Bert Hooton? Well,
Oh yeah. I had the book Ball 4, right?
no, that's Jim Bouton.
Jim Bouton. Well, I was close. That's
Yeah,
pretty
we're close. You're in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
I'm in the ballpark.
Yeah, but Bert Hooton, when they
Okay.
brought him up, he was with the Cubs and the Dodgers, I think. And he had that knuckle curve, and it's the first time people had seen it. It's a very good pitch because it dives, right?
Yeah, it's typically has more of a breakdown, and a lot of guys have thrown them over the years. It's similar to a curveball. It's just another variation off the curveball. But Jellies, I always thought it was a little bit of a slider, but I talked to him yesterday. It's actually a knuckle curve.
Nice. I like the way he's playing. Sandra G. Interviewed Casale. We have to remember that. Casale yesterday, and we had him on. Well, this is the calmest guy I think I've come across in baseball. And he's perfect as a backup catcher, 35 years old, but he's just so calm about everything that nothing phases him whatsoever. And Sandra did a great job bringing that out. Do you find that with Casale, the kind of guy he is?
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. First of all, and you're right. He's always calm. He doesn't overreact, and that's what we love about him behind the plate. That presence that gives you a little confidence. He knows what he's talking about, and I think he gets part of this. He's such an avid golfer and loves to golf, and if you can't be under control in that game, you're not going to be very good. And you got to keep the mind right. And he brings all those qualities behind the plate, and the guys love throwing to him. So very articulate, great guy, and what a great addition for us.
And he laid a bunt down. How about that?
Yeah, well, you know what? He's been asked to do that a time or two in his career, and whatever it takes. He's one of those guys. Whatever it takes for the team. He worries more about how the pitcher is throwing than his own offensive statistics. He really is a consummate professional as a backup catcher, because that's what you want. A guy that's more concerned about what the job he's doing on defense than his own personal stats. And that's how we get paid as players, is your personal stats. But everybody realizes his value in the game for the reasons we just talked about.
But interesting situation. Willie Adames, and a little bit of a hot dog player for the Brewers, and he came up last week, and the Brewers were down by 2 in the ninth, and they had 2 on, and he's coming up, and the fans were razzing him. I think it was in Kansas City or someplace, and he said, "I'm hitting one out. I'm going to win this game," and he did. He actually hit one out. He called his shot. You've been around people that have called their shot before?
Well, I've been around a lot of them in the minor leagues that called their shot, and it never happened, right? They said, "I'm going to end this game. I'm going to hit one out of here." Well, it never happened, but it did happen in the big leagues, and the guy in a Giant uniform still works for us. It did it, and it was against Arizona, and I think it was against Mike Myers, the lefty. He said he's going to end the game with a home run, and sure enough, Barry Bonds hit a home run to left center field and ended the game. So the Babe and Barry are the 2 guys that I've known that have done it, and now we'll add Willie Adames to the list.
Yeah, I like it. I like the way he plays. The Brewers, we haven't seen them yet. Brewers are playing. There's this William Contreras. Now, Wilson Contreras is on the Cardinals. He broke his arm. J.D. Martinez on a backswing broke his arm, so he's out. But his brother, William Contreras, well, and I don't know that much about him. He was with the Braves. He's playing great for the Brewers.
Yeah, I don't know much about him either. I was interested to see how the Brewers were going to do. They lost Craig Counsell over to Chicago, and the bench coach there, his name eludes me right now.
Pat Murphy.
Very well.
Yeah,
Murph. Big Murph, and he took over, and he's got the guys playing. So they that's good to see, because a lot of times, that there'll be the opposite effect when someone leaves. So Murph was doing a good job over there, and they're playing well.
Yeah, he was Counsell's coach at Notre Dame, and then when Counsell got the job, he brought him in, and Murph was the manager at San Diego. I got to meet him. Very nice guy. Very baseball all the way. That kind of guy.
Yes, he is. I talked to him quite a bit. We like to joke around and tell a joke to one another whenever we get a new joke. So he's a fun guy, and I'm happy that they're playing well.
All right. Hey, you brought up the Cubs, and the Cubs are in the middle of this whole group of 8 or 9 teams that are vying for these last couple of playoff spots. And they have a pitcher, Imanaga, who's been terrific. He's made 9 starts already and to start his career, and his earned run average is .084. And he pitched yesterday 5 or 6, 7 innings, a shutout ball against the Pirates. And then they eventually won the game 1-0. But he's got the lowest earned run average, of someone who started his career for that many games. And he knocked out Fernando Valenzuela out of the record books. Remember Fernando?
Oh, absolutely. Talk about a stud, Fernando. He pitched 17, 18 years, and he was the face of the Dodgers, along with a lot of other great players that they had. But it's pretty impressive what this guy is doing. Fernando, you mentioned him. He had that screwball, just like you, Marty. I think you used to throw a screwball.
I tried.
Did you not?
Yeah, I tried.
That's right.
I tried.
You tried. But his was probably a little bit better than yours. And, it's a very unique pitch, and it's a very difficult pitch to hit, partly because you never see it. He turns it over as a lefty, and that ball breaks away from you. You don't usually see that pitch. Everything a breaking ball breaks into a right-handed hitter, but to a righty, when a lefty, it breaks away. It fades away like a really good changeup. So remember Keith Comstock? He used to have a real good screwball.
Okay.
He worked for the Giants, played for the Padres. He was a pitching coach for us as well, and he had a very good move as well. So that's a great name, Fernando. And what this Japanese pitcher is doing is just unbelievable. I'm really interested in watching him pitch.
Yeah, Comstock. I think he was in the Kevin Mitchell trade, with Dave Javecki and all those, I think.
I'm not sure.
I think the Kevin Mitchell trade. Yeah, I remember Keith Comstock. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you've been sort of a mentor to Luciano for a number of years. He's in the big leagues now. He got a couple of doubles yesterday. I've always enjoyed the bat. What do you see with Luciano now?
Well, I see a player that's getting better. And I got to credit the guys down there in AAA. He's been there for, he got a little taste last year, and he's been down there all of this year. And, he's maturing. He's improved defensively. He looks more confident. He looks more comfortable. He's a little bit different hitter at the plate right now, but you saw the power yesterday with the 2 doubles. He didn't have a lot of home runs down there in the PCL, which you would expect, but he's putting up good at-bats, and that's what they want to see. He's just not swinging at everything. He's a lot more selective. So he's getting better, and that's what you want to see in a young player, and I'm really, really pleased that he's getting off to a good start here, because that does so much to your confidence when you can, start off the way he is. When you start the other way, you just start putting more pressure on yourself to perform, and you don't know where things can, steamroll you there sometimes and not really play your best baseball. So I'm happy to see he's off to a good start.
It's funny. Ramos is the other one we should really touch on, and I've always loved his bat speed. I saw it last year. I said, boy, the guy's got a quick bat, and he's hanging in there. Matos is kind of the spotlight's on him, and we always love Luciano, but Ramos is kind of hanging in there, and he's given him a couple of good weeks here.
Yes, he has, and I think we talked about him in the past. Obviously, he's kind of locked in. He's more selective at the plate. He's hitting the pitches he should be hitting. He's not chasing, and you know how important that is to the organization. And being a good hitter is being more selective. It's hard to be a good hitter when you're swinging at a lot of balls outside the zone and chasing. So I think his game plan has been better, and he's matured as well. So it's amazing what reps can do to a player. And when you go down to AAA and you have some success, that confidence, confidence breeds more confidence. And I'm glad he's doing well as well in his call up, because as I just mentioned, it's very important to start that way.
Boy, exciting time. Let's mention this about the Rockies. They are professionals. And they got knocked around here in a couple of games, and they've had, as I said, they're the perfect house guest. You never want them to leave. And, but they're going to be out there today. Dakota Hudson walks the park and all that stuff, and he's got Hicks on the other side. But, you know, they're pros. They don't want to be embarrassed. I think it's going to be a tougher game today.
Well, it's tough to sweep, any club, and the Rockies they were hot, coming in here, and the real bugaboo for them is their pitching, and they're swinging the bats, but they just don't have the pitching, and that's why it's so important to have good pitching because it can carry you. You've said it many times with our club, and I feel the same way. Our pitching is, once we get everything clicking here, is going to keep us in the games. There's so much baseball left in the season that we won't have to score 10 runs a game, but I do believe we're going to be scoring, doing much better than we did in this first month offensively, as you can see some of it now. But that's the bugaboo for the Rockies is the pitching.
Yeah, they'll be challenged today. As I say, they got embarrassed yesterday. 9 doubles for the Giants yesterday, and Matos is all world these days. Well, let's talk River Islands for a second. This new Del Webb community, which is 55 and over within River Islands, they'll have all the amenities and all the things that everyone else has in River Islands. I love it. I love the concept of it.
Yeah, it adds another element to River Islands that they didn't have. I mean, I know a lot of people like a single level house. I'll imagine at Del Webb there'll be single levels, so you don't have to deal with stairs and stuff like that. And, it gives everybody an option. If you want a little quieter neighborhood, typically they're, quieter. It's, a little different than the other part of the community. And a lot of people like that. So we talk about it all the time. They just keep expanding. They keep improving. And it's great to see them put this type of community in there out at River Islands.
Cool. I like it. How's the park today? You coming in with the coleslaw and rutabaga and the cucumbers there?
No, we got it all. We got hot dogs and Hamburg buns. We got so many buns here. I tell you what, it's amazing they sell all this stuff. There's so much stuff stacked up down that corridor. It's it's fun to look at when you walk in, especially when you're hungry. You say, I'm going to have that. I'm going to have that sandwich today.
Boy, it's a party, 81 games a year, 81 different parties. Every day is a party. Isn't it funny?
It's more of a party when you win. That's for me. But you're right. For the fans, they come out here not only for the baseball, but the views and the experience. They do a great job here at the stadium. So hopefully we can pack this place and send the Giants off on the road with another win so they can have that, so-called happy flight everybody talks about.
All right. Well, have a good week, and talk to you next week. Giants and Mets next weekend. So looking forward to it. Have a good day.
Thanks, Marty. Looking forward to it as well. Take care.
All right. That is the Professor, Ron Wotus, on a Sunday morning. Glenn Kuiper next, right here on the Sports Leader. Experience the epitome of luxury and craftsmanship with Inicio Windows and Doors, another exciting product line from BMD Manufacturing. Inicio Windows and Doors sets the standard in ultra-premium European design. Wow. For the most demanding American building standards. Available both in steel and aluminum, they are meticulously engineered to elevate your living space to new heights of sophistication. Learn more about Inicio Windows and Doors today. Discover the perfect blend of European beauty and style with unwavering durability and strength. Visit InicioWindows.com. INICIO Windows.com. Inicio Windows and Doors, where European design meets American craftsmanship.
prevented any runs from scoring. Now the pitch. Matos swings, belts it high and deep. Left center. It's on its way. It is gone. Luis Matos, a 3-run home run in the bottom of the first. One day after his 5 RBI night. And Matos is at it again. Giants lead 3-0.
What a weekend for Joe Rizzo to get to call the Matos home run, and 6 RBIs yesterday, 5 the day before. Timing is everything, and Joe Rizzo is in the right spot at the right time, so good for him. Good call there. Glenn Kuiper joins us. Glenn, how are you this Sunday?
Marty, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well, and what a difference a few days make. But I was thinking about the rhythm of a baseball season, and how the first couple of months you just kind of figure out who you are, and sometimes it takes a little longer. And maybe we're in that with the Giants now because of all these players that are playing this week, and they're playing well.
Yeah, and you've always made a great point, Marty, about just that, how the season is a picture, and it goes up and down, and you don't know what it's going to look like until the end. A lot of different things happen over the course of a season, and you and I have talked about how I think you start evaluating your team, maybe after 40 games. Well, we're past that now. We're closing in on 50 games. But we haven't seen the Giants up until the last couple of days. We really haven't seen that offense at least, have a couple games where, wow, they look really good. There's been a lot of offensive struggles in the early going, but the last couple days now we've seen guys start to get hot, and when a group gets hot, things start to happen. So it's nice to finally see that. And now I think the question is, how long does this hot streak offensively last? And then where do they settle in offensively as a team, Marty? And I think when that's all said and done, I think they can be a decent offense. I don't think they're going to be a juggernaut offense, but I think there's enough there, and there's enough good hitters there. And then you throw these young kids in with what they're doing, and if they can produce, then I think that there's some excitement too for the fan base, because now you have these young guys getting a chance to play with a pretty good group of veterans.
Well, look, you've been around a long time. You've seen a lot of young players come up. Now, look, Matos was up here last year. Ramos was up here last year. Luciano was up here last year. So it's the bright lights are not as bright coming back this year. But, Glenn, to watch Matos play right now, he does not look like anyone who's awed by being in the big leagues. And Ramos and Luciano, the same thing.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that, Marty, and you and I talked about this, I want to say maybe last week, where, it's not like you're bringing these young kids up for the first time. So there's not going to be that maybe that uncertainty as a young player in the big leagues for the first time, a lot of pressure. It's a whole different deal. Whereas these guys played some last year, so that initial I don't know what you want to call it, maybe, where you're just, wow, you're in the big leagues for the first time. This is really hard. And it's hard to produce as a young player when you get here for the first time. Well, they're not here for the first time. They're here for the second time. So I think you're right, Marty, where that group that we're talking about has been in the big leagues, not a lot, but enough where they can maybe relax a little bit, because they know how it all works, even though it's still difficult to produce in the big league, especially at a young age. But they've been here before. So I think they're pretty confident young players, but they also don't have to wonder, well, what are the big leagues like, and what are all these pitchers like? Well, now they know a little bit.
Yeah.
And so you're right. I think this group, Matos and Ramos and Luciano, kind of the guys we're talking about, I think there's probably a little more relaxation now, just because they were in the big leagues some last year. So I do think that makes a big difference.
You know, it's funny. You played baseball, and of course, the whole family. You've been around it your whole life. Fitzgerald goes into pinch run the other day, and he gets picked off. And it's such a tight game, and he gets picked off. And what can you say at that point? And what's told to him when he gets to first base by the first base coach? It's one of those moments, you know, you want to get away. You know, the Southwest commercial, you want to get away.
Yeah, you do want to get away. And yeah, listen, what do you have to say anything to him? I don't know if a coaching staff, you know, you're not going to say anything right then and there, obviously, in the dugout. But it's a mistake that's, you know, listen, it's such a blatant mistake by a young player that, you know, I just don't know that there's even anything to say, even the next day. I mean, you know, if you're the manager, do you say, hey, you know, what were you thinking maybe? Or you don't need to tell him, hey, that absolutely cannot happen. Well, he knows that. But it was a mistake. It was a bad mistake. It shouldn't happen again. Let's hope it doesn't. But, you know, that's part of, I guess, being a young player. You know, the game at the big league level is quicker. Everything's quicker, Marty. The pickoff attempts are quicker. You know, so you hope that a young player learns from that and just, you know, don't let it happen again. But as a coaching staff, yeah, it's frustrating, but you also need to make sure you handle it correctly, because you don't want to ruin a young player's confidence, especially a kid like that who's just trying to get on the field as much as possible. And there are some intangibles that Fitzgerald has, especially his speed, where you need him. You know, you're going to need him to pinch run in the ninth inning a lot this year. It's going to happen again. You know, so again, it has to be handled correctly by the staff, and Bob Melvin knows how to handle things like that. So I'm sure whatever was done properly, if anything was said to him at all.
Yeah, you got to say something when he comes in, you know. But he knows. The other one, look, and you've seen this guy's whole career, and there's Chapman, you know, 4 for 4 yesterday. He's, you know, and plus, Glenn, he stole the bag. Now, is this new for him?
Fast.
And
he's fast.
Look, Susan Slusser wrote a whole article about it. Now you're finally seeing the real Chapman. Are we finally seeing the hitter Chapman? Is this what's happening here?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, he's always been streaky, you know, and we talked about this in spring training. I saw him a lot. He's a streaky hitter. He's going to strike out a fair amount. He's going to hit a lot of doubles, and he's going to hit you, you know, 22, 23 home runs. And we just saw him struggle early, and now he's starting to heat up a little bit. But again, he is streaky. But it is nice to see him, you know, settle in and start to get some base hits, and you're seeing doubles. He's a big doubles guy. But I think when you watch him play, Marty, and you know, he has struggled this year offensively, and I know it's frustrating, but I watch him play, and he's such a grinder, right? And that's a word that's used a lot in baseball, and you have to have grinders, guys who, even when they're struggling, they still grind and try to give you good at-bats. And I think that's what you get from Chapman. He's such a pro. He's not going to throw his helmet. He's not going to throw his bat. He's not going to show his frustration. He's just going to keep grinding, knowing that at some point I can hit. I'm a pretty good hitter, and it will come. Even though, you know, it may have taken 40 games for him, but he's such a good player and such a grinder. And defensively, we're seeing how important he is there. So there's just so many intangibles with Chapman. And when you got a guy that just knows how to handle adversity and slumps, well, the other players see that, and they see, wow, man, Chapman's scuffling, but I watch him every day just keep grinding and keep working and keep working. Well, the other young players see that, and that makes a difference. So that's where that clubhouse leadership attitude with Chapman really comes in important. And I know Bob Melvin, that was one of the reasons why he wanted Chapman so bad, is his leadership qualities, which, you know, that leadership comes in a lot of different ways. But just watch Chapman grind through the season, even when he's struggling, and I think that's a big, big deal. And I'm glad he's starting to see some results.
Yeah, good analysis. Good analysis of Chapman. Glenn Kuiper with us. Kansas City, is starting to play ball. I'm starting to look, and I love Sal Perez. I say he's a Hall of Famer. But they're doing things now they haven't done since 2015, which is we're starting to get back to, when they were in the World Series against the Giants and of course against the Mets. And those are the days of the crazy comeback against the A's. But my point is Kansas City, all of a sudden, a lot of young players pitching. They invested in Lugo and Waka. Kansas City baseball is kind of fun when it happens.
Yeah, and it's a good sports town, and you saw it when they went to the World Series back-to-back years, and I think they're starting to get that excitement back a little bit. Great stadium. When it when it's crowded in that stadium, it's really a great atmosphere. And I hope for the Royals' sake, they're starting to get back to that time that you're talking about, where they had all these young players. But they do have some good young players, and you're right. They made some maybe low key pitching additions, and all of a sudden Lugo he's been terrific. I know he won again last night, beating the Athletics. And that makes that AL Central, which everybody sort of downplays, is not a great division. Well, it's a pretty good division this year because the Twins, had a long winning streak. Guardians have played great under Stephen Vogt, and now you have this Royals team, which is just kind of quietly going along and winning a lot of games, and they're going for the sweep today at the Athletics, and so I think it's great. I think it's great when you see a young team start to put it all together. And then the fan base joins in because, hey, these are our young players. This is great. So it's good for baseball, too, because you get some more good young players. And, Major League Baseball is jammed with really good young players now. So the more the merrier, because fans love young players, especially homegrown kids. And we're seeing that with the Royals. So good luck to them. I hope they keep it up because they're a fun young team, and everybody likes a fun young team, and they certainly fit that category.
It's exciting. You see young players taking over. But this time of year, as you and I have talked since spring training, and we talk every Sunday, you get into May, you get into June, this is who you are. And I'll give you one last one, and you've seen this team a million times, the Astros. They're starting to play, and they're starting to pitch, and they're starting to play. And this Tucker is second in the majors in home runs. Altuve's got 300 stolen bases. The Astros are starting to play.
Well, and listen, I'm not surprised that this is happening. I mean, I'm surprised that they started out the way they did, and their record was so poor. But I don't know that anybody felt like that was going to continue. When a team has so many good players, but not only good players, Marty, but good veteran players. Again, it's like the Chapman thing. There's no panic. They know they're a good team. They know they're not playing up their capabilities, and they know that at some point it will kick in. And you just keep going through the process, keep grinding, and then when it kicks in, we'll start to win a bunch of games. And that's what we're starting to see with the Astros now. Too many good players, too many veterans that get the ups and downs of a baseball season. And this team is, they're in the playoffs every year. They're in the American League Championship Series every year. They're fine. And they may have some holes this year, maybe more than other years. I don't know. But then you go out and fill them. That's what good teams do. So I'm not surprised. They'll continue to climb up the standings. They'll get to 500. They'll shoot past 500. And then, when it comes July and August, if they need something, they'll go get it. That's what good playoff teams do. And, they sit at the top of that list as far as having, a long-term success here. And that's going to continue. And so I'm not surprised that they're starting to turn this thing around. Too many good veteran players, Marty.
Good time of baseball. Good time for baseball. Yep. Things are happening. I like it. Very good. Great to have you, Glenn.
All right, Godfather. I'll talk to you next Sunday, all right?
All right. Be well.
All right,
talk to you then. Take care. All right. Always love talking ball. Talking ball on Sunday with Glenn Kuiper. Cool. All right. Bruce Jenkins next, right here on the Sports Leader. I heard from Gene Bagato, and he said that with summer just around the corner up at the Tides in Bodega Bay, they are getting ready and looking forward to welcoming everyone looking to get away and enjoy the Sonoma coast. In addition to offering the best seafood available in the restaurant, the fish market features a wide array of delicacies, from smoked fish and charcuterie to cheeses, gourmet crackers, and assorted beverages. Everything one needs for a picnic at the beach. Boy, that sounds terrific. And if you're looking to stay a while, the Inn at the Tides with its spacious, updated rooms is there waiting for you. So if you're thinking about planning a summer getaway, not too far from the Bay Area, remember the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in scenic Bodega Bay. I'll see you there.
Look through the window of the original Joe's on North Beach and you'll see two guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty Laurie and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball on this Sunday. They go to sweep the Rockies. Bruce Jenkins, good morning. How are you?
Doing well, Marty. Thanks.
Boy, I'll tell you, it's as I said earlier in the show, the Rockies are the perfect house guest. They make their bed, they bring food, and they make you laugh, and then you hate to see them leave. And that's
they do the dishes. I mean, they are amazing, and it's funny because they came in just red hot. I mean, they swept the Padres in San Diego, and they'd won 7 in a row, and all of a sudden it looks more like they look more like the Rockies. But yeah, it's a convenient bit of scheduling. But you know, the bottom line is how the Giants took care of them.
Yeah, and look, we've talked. You and I have talked ball for so many years, and you see someone like Matos come out and 6 RBIs, 5 RBIs, 17 in 6 games, and knocks it out. Bill Terry, Jack Clark, Mel Ott, you name all the names, and Orlando Cepeda, and here he is. And who saw this coming? Seriously.
Well, yeah, I know. I think last year you got an idea that he could be a very good center fielder because his tools are so good and he's so comfortable running down balls. He had showed some flaws, but you knew he could be a very good center fielder. And then now you see that he doesn't strike out much. So those are two things that you really like about him that we think it might be sustainable. 11 RBIs in 2 games, maybe not sustainable, but I mean, he makes contact. He's going to be a very good center fielder, I think. But most of all, he's got a job. I mean, the fact that he arrives right when Lee goes out is an amazing stroke of good fortune for the Giants, but especially for him because that's going to be his job. And I don't know, I can't see him just bombing. He's too talented.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up a good point. That will be his job in center field because Lee is out for the year. Ramos, on the other hand, he's still got to deal with Conforto when he comes back, and he will be back, and that may be a challenge for Ramos.
Yeah, right now you want to see these kids. You don't really want to see Conforto and Slater and Ahmed, and it's just it doesn't seem right. I mean, maybe that's the way it's going to work out. I hope not, but in Ramos's case, Conforto's been hitting the ball pretty good when he was playing. He's been pretty injury prone, and maybe that'll continue. But from the left side, he's real good. I think Ramos would be best suited to play every day, so he sees right-handers because you see more of those than lefties. And I'd hate to think that part-time play might slow him down a little bit because he's really playing great right now.
Yeah, they're going to have to deal with that. But as Ken Maka said years ago, everything works its way out. I used to say, "My goodness, what are you going to do when so-and-so comes back?" He says, "Don't worry. When the time comes, something will happen." And that's the way baseball usually works. Another guy that we don't give enough credit to, and that's Lamont Wade, Bruce. With the on-base percentage, this is Brandon Belt 2.0. I mean, you might as well just start the count 3-2 when he gets up there.
Yeah, his on-base percentage is ranks with anybody in the bigs in either league. Yeah. And he's been very consistent, which is great. He's taken a hold of that position. They're not worried about that. And, I think we have to talk about Soler, too. He really looked like the guy that they wanted to get. Didn't hit the ball out, but he just stung the ball 3 times. And, then Chapman goes 7 for 8 over the 2 games. There's so much good stuff going on right now. Yeah, and then they go on the road. And it looks like the Pirates are not going to use a 6-man rotation. So Skeens be Jones Wednesday. It looks like Skeens on Thursday. So the Giants do get Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh doesn't score a lot, but they do have decent pitching. And then it's off to New York for the Mets. New York baseball, it's challenging, isn't it, Bruce, when you get – you've been there so many times, Mets, Yankees. Yeah. What's it like, New York baseball? Well, you feel it when you go into the parks, even though you're out in the middle of Queens and you're getting off the train, but you walk into the old Shea Stadium and now the new park, and you just feel there's just a certain energy to it. The fans are really smart. Half of them are betting on every other pitch, but they're so into it. There's nothing like being cheered and lauded and honored by a New York crowd, and there's nothing more biting or nasty than being booed in front of a crowd that doesn't want you anymore, and Edwin Diaz is going through that right now. I mean, 2 years ago, he was an unhittable closer, and he hurt his knee, of all things, celebrating in the World Baseball Classic, celebrating a big win. He comes back yesterday. He comes out there. He's blown his last 2 saves, but now he's got a 9-5 lead in the 9th. Well, they tie it up. Josh Bell hits a 3-run homer. Next thing you know, the Mets are losing. On a hit, by the way, by Otto Lopez.
I know.
He was with the Giants for about 5 minutes. He didn't actually play for him, but they had him in February. They got rid of him in April. Anyway, Otto Lopez got a hit off another Lopez, Jorge Lopez, to win it. And then Diaz is in the locker room. That's where New York baseball really is intense when you're in a locker room and they're not going well. I can still see Bobby Valentine in there trying to answer questions and just burning, just wanting to kill somebody during a Mets losing streak. It's really brutal because the media is unforgiving, and there's a lot of them, and they don't mind asking a tough question, and then they ask a lot of ridiculous questions too. It's just really intense, is what it is. But Diaz is there now yesterday, and he's saying, I've lost my confidence, and if they want to take me out of this role, I would understand it because I'm not cutting it. He's not cutting it in New York.
Who was the toughest manager for you? And I know you spent a lot of time with Billy Martin. For me, maybe Lou Piniella. You didn't want to sort of second guess him after the game. No, you really didn't. Gene Mauch was really, really rough. John McNamara. Okay.
Yeah, he didn't have to say anything. The way he'd look at you was like, "Good Lord, can I just be excused here? I have nothing to ask you." I mean, there are a lot of them. John McNamara could be really, really, really tough. I always said I borrowed an old Jim Murray line. He looked at you like he used a toothbrush.
I love it. Well, closers, some guys stand up and answer questions. Some guys hide. How about that?
Well, that was great. But that's the thing, you've got to, good or bad, you've got to be available when you're obviously the story. And if somebody ducks out, that's just not a good look, and that only hurts your reputation even more anywhere, but especially in New York to do that. Well, he bailed out. He's in a taxi cab right now. That's not a good look. You gotta stand up to it. And Diaz was great. He's a good man, and I don't know. I got to think he'll be back. But this is a guy that they created a whole light show for him. Like Mariano Rivera now with the Giants and Doval, and that's not happening now. There are no fireworks going off when he comes in.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about Doval. Giants are very lucky. They've had some really good closers where they really haven't had too many that have to answer too many questions about blown saves. But Doval is really, they're very fortunate to have him because, Bruce, I used to say he's lights out. He truly is lights out. They turn the lights off when he comes in.
Yeah, next thing you know, they'll just leave him off and nobody can see the ball coming at him.
That's what they did the first time. The catcher almost got killed.
Yeah, well, he really has that commanding look about him. He's sorted out a lot of issues, having to hurry up because of the pitch clock and then the pitch comm stuff and learning English and communication. And you'd see him get a little bit rattled, but even then, even in his low points, he's never looked like, well, he's not going to. We got to get him out of there. He's just too good. And now he has the look of one of those guys who's going to give you a great, save like 5 out of 6 times.
Bullpen is very good. I know you wrote about the pitching, and it is a question, the durability. We'll see Hicks today if they pull him after 5, depending, of course, on the game. And Harrison, they had him out after 5 yesterday. But all of a sudden, Jelly is a real legit middle reliever. This Miller's legit. And they can shut it down when they get a lead. They're pretty tough at the end of the game.
Yeah, and what's great about the succession of relievers leading up to the closer, and the Giants had this when they had Romo and Affeldt and Lopez. You'd see a very different guy every time they changed pitchers. And how about going from Jelly, who's about 9 feet tall and throwing those unhittable sliders, and here comes Miller, a lefty, who's got a great fastball. He struck out Montero on 3 changeups, and then he struck out Doyle on a big-time fastball. And he came out there and lit it up. And Walker can do that as well, and the Rogers brothers. And absolutely. And the good thing is I don't see any of them getting burned out at all. Any of these guys we're talking about, because there's so many of them. And right now they're all going to get time.
And in a blowout game, Rodriguez, you can put him in. He's decent.
Yeah, he looks that way, yeah.
Yeah, no, the 98, 99, the arm.
Play, yeah.
Yeah, and I said earlier in spring training, the scouts raved about this guy. It wasn't Joey Bart. They wanted this guy. That was the one they wanted, was Rodriguez. Bruce, let's talk about the division a little bit. San Diego gets rained out yesterday. They'll play today the late game Darvish and Elder with Atlanta there. But Arizona gets pasted again by Detroit yesterday, and Jack Flaherty got into it with the mound and the hole in the mound, and Torey Lovullo was screaming at him. And then the Dodgers, Walker Buehler comes up with 6 innings, 3 hits, shutout ball. I didn't see any of that game. I don't know if you did, but how did he look?
I had it on tape, and I just wanted to watch his innings, and oh my goodness, unbelievable 12-6 curveball.
Really? Really?
Oh my goodness, yeah. And he's throwing the fastball in the 9. He had a huge smile on his face, absolutely cruising. After the first 2 starts, you're thinking, oh, now we're going to look up all the guys who had 2 Tommy Johns and how did they do, and Evaldi and all these guys in the past, and Buehler had a couple of shaky outings, which is going to happen, but then he comes up with this one. And this is the most recent thing we've seen is great, and he's a hell of a pitcher. That kid, he's really very, very good, and he's going to make a huge difference in the race if there even is a race. More likely in the playoffs. He was excellent, Marty. And Arizona, I mean, they're just not hitting. And then, Gallen it was a Gallen start yesterday, and he was good, but he was fussed by the mound. They keep having to dig up the dirt and rearrange it. The mound in Arizona, and it's just looking like one of those seasons for Arizona that could be going out the window. But you never know. I mean, the Giants didn't look too good a couple of weeks ago, and look at them now.
Well, it's going to be pitching, when you get over the summer, and they do have Montgomery going today against Detroit. Now, all of a sudden, Detroit, Javier Baez, who's been the biggest zero ever, he gets hot. And now Detroit and Kansas City, Cleveland, all that, they're all in Minnesota with the sausage business. There's some good stories here.
Yeah, I base my standings on this sausage industry and who's hot and who isn't. Right. But Kansas City's they're up in second place behind Cleveland. They're only like a game and a half out behind Cleveland in that division. Yeah. And Minnesota's only 4.5 out. They kind of hit the skids, but they'll definitely be back. And I love Kansas City. You got Salvi Perez, who's been around forever and headed for the Hall of Fame, and then you got Bobby Witt Jr., who's just coming up, and he looks like a potential Cooperstown guy, and they're just fun. They're really having a good time. They're reminding people they're reminding people of the 2014-15 teams when they were very, very good, and they're just it's a good baseball town when things are going good.
Yeah, they got Brady Singer today, and this Cole Reagans that they got from Texas. I think in the Chapman trade, I think that was it. He's been terrific. So, yeah, Kansas City's back. It's nice to see it. Let's look at some of our league leaders. Kwan is still out. He's still leading the league in hitting, 353. But second, Bruce, is Contreras of Milwaukee. William Contreras, he's in 350.
Boy, I'll tell you, that guy, he had an epic at-bat against Verlander yesterday. Verlander was going good. It comes down to a huge at-bat. It goes 13 pitches. He's fouling him off. It's turning into one of the epic at-bat of the seasons, and he hits a 450-foot homer. The Brewers beat Verlander. And, leading he's tied with Ohtani for the league lead in the National League.
Yeah, 350. 350. Yeah, Turner 343, Betts 341. Home runs, the guy you love, and I have to really start watching him, is this Gunnar Henderson of the Orioles. He's got 14. He's 22. It's another one of these 20. This is Matos, another guy like him. Tucker 13, Ohtani 13, Ozuna hanging in there with 12, and Judge. How about the week Aaron Judge has had? He's got 12.
He's absolutely crushing the ball. He's so locked in right now, and so is Soto, and so is Stanton. I mean, oh my goodness! And they got an amazing outing yesterday from a pitcher named Luis Gil, Gil, who struck out 14 in like 6 innings.
He broke the record. That's the Yankee rookie record for strikeouts.
Jeez, what a thing!
And I'm glad you brought up Stanton and Judge. And Soto, first of all, Soto should just sign in New York now.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, my God, yes.
Look, the guy is made for New York.
Yeah.
But when they hit home runs, the old phrase, well, it was a wall scraper. No, this is not a wall scraper. This is a dent in the back wall by the concession stand when they hit.
Yeah. Stanton is completely ridiculous. I mean, for all of Judge's power and majesty and hitting them into the restaurant, Stanton's balls are the hardest hit of them all. And Soto is he's just an epic performer. He's just so so made for the big stage. It's so perfect for him. He had 2 more yesterday, and good grief, getting through that lineup is pretty rough.
Fun. I like watching quick pitch now. It's
absolutely, yeah.
Pretty good at night. All right, Dela Cruz, 30 stolen bases, and the kid from Milwaukee, Turnig.
Has he been caught yet?
17. And
I don't think he's been thrown out.
Is he 17 for 17? I didn't know that. Okay.
He was 14 for 14 the last I looked. So yeah, very possible.
Okay.
And that's dating back to, it might be dating back to last season. I'm not sure, but anyway, he's a guy that been very, very hard to throw out.
Terang, I think is 17 for him. Yeah, Brewers. I'm looking forward to seeing them again. One more is Imanaga of
my goodness.
He's got 084. And now he's made 9 starts. He's got the lowest earned run average ever in the first 9 starts. He knocked Fernando out. Fernando at 091.
Fernando in 1981, unbelievable. Yeah, this guy Imanaga, he's also a lefty, and it just, every time out, this guy's just extremely tough to hit. The wind was blowing out yesterday, no problem. 7 more shutout innings. Good grief, and a great win for the Cubs. Bellinger dramatic slide into home, and the fans are chanting, "Go Cubs, go!" and they're hanging around afterward, and it's just good. They're having some really good times here. But Imanaga is a little bit under the radar with so many great stories going on, but he's for real.
Yeah, this is going to be fun when the Giants play the Cubs and the Brewers. This is going to be good. All right, well, hey, have a great afternoon. We'll catch up with Juan Marichal and his one-hitter at the right time in July. I think I'm 2 months early on him.
Yeah, it was right around the All-Star break, I think, in 1960. That'll be a good one. Okay, Marty.
All right, have a good afternoon. Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks.
All right, that is Bruce Jenkins. Always, talking Bruce, baseball at Bruce on a Saturday, Sunday. I like Sunday baseball. I do. You relax. You kind of take stock of what's going on. Things happen on Sunday. Special pitchers would pitch on Sunday. You come to the game. You hope you see all the stars on Sunday. You don't want people sitting out on a Sunday. And the Giants have it today. There's a buzz around this ball club and the ballpark. And we'll see the lineup, Matos and Ramos and Luciano and Chapman and Soler. Yeah, it's turning into a must-watch kind of lineup now. And the Rockies will do that for you. And thank goodness for the Rockies. You hate to see them leave, but that's the way the season goes. It's a rhythm. All right, more coming up. Pat Holcomb will join us next. Wrote a really good book, Where the Seams Meet. And it's a fiction story about baseball and San Francisco. I think you'll enjoy it. Coming up next right here in the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Fans for great baseball gear, check out Baseballism. The store is located at 3rd and King opposite the ballpark. Whether it's jackets, shirts, hats, you name it, Baseballism is the most unique store I've seen. It is the best. 3rd and King, right opposite the ballpark. Fans, you know how I feel about Pave Fine Jewelry. Pave is celebrating its 40th anniversary. Located at 5496 College Avenue in Oakland. Phone is 510-547-7000. Michael Enlick, I've talked about him for so many years. He is the best jewelry designer in the Bay Area. It's time for weddings, it's time for graduation and special family events. Pave Fine Jewelry makes that moment special for you. You'll have it for your entire lifetime. Michael Enlick, I can't say enough about him. He is absolutely the best. PaveFineJewelry.com. Check him out.
Giants fans, there's no better way to set the game day table than talking baseball with Marty Lurie. Marty keeps rolling on KNBR, the sports leader.
Fans, it's great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball. It's a pleasure to bring an author on. It's a new one for us, and we haven't had him on before. His name is Patrick Holcomb, Holcomb, and he's got a novel out. It's called Where the Seams Meet. Let me tell you a little bit about Patrick and his love for outdoor sports. He's a long-retired Little League right fielder whose passion for the game far outdistanced his unremarkable talent. After hanging up his cleats for good, he found his true calling, earning the title, congratulations, U.S. Marine, and spent the next 20 years traipsing around the globe along some of the brashest and boldest women and men this country has to offer. Running is his passion, and backpacking is his joy, and to this day he still hungrily admires each mountain with the same boyish question tumbling through his mind, can I climb that? And I imagine you said that to yourself when you undertook this novel, Where the Seams Meet. So, Patrick, great to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself with that introduction.
Man, I feel like you did it already, Marty. That was a fantastic introduction. You know, I've heard that so many times over the last few months here, and it still makes me laugh. It really does. So, yeah, I think we've touched on some of the points already, but I guess the biggest one is that I'm a recently retired U.S. Marine. When I say recently, you know, it's been a little over 2 years now, but I spent 20 years doing that. I joined the Marine Corps right out of high school and then went off and spent the next 2 decades traveling around the globe doing Marine things. I came in enlisted, but earned my commission along the way, became an officer, and along the way, I developed a love for running and mountain climbing. And actually, when I set out to retire back in 2021, my goal wasn't to write a book. It was to finish what I was calling the 7 and 7, which was running a marathon on every continent and climbing the highest peak on every continent. But a hip injury got in my way, and it caused me to pivot and change direction. And that's when I really seriously started looking at writing this book.
Oh, well, let's talk about the book because the cover is beautiful. It's a beautiful picture of a baseball with the seams.
Yes.
The name of it is Where the Seams Meet. It's a novel. And obviously it's a baseball-oriented novel. So tell us about the idea for the book and how it sort of came together for you.
Okay, yeah, that is a story unto itself right there. So you go back to the year 2014, and I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan with my family, and something happened, and somebody became ill. I'm not going to go into all the details of that story, but we left that island in Japan, and we flew to San Diego for treatment, and the outcome was very much in doubt, and it was a really scary time in my life, I'll tell you that. But at the same time that we were going through this, in October of 2014, the Giants were making a run. And, we'd won in 2010, we'd won in 2012, and everybody was talking about the even year magic. And, I'm sitting there going through this really horrible, traumatic event. But at the same time, I'm watching my team win. I'm seeing Bumgarner, throw the team on his back and carry him through the playoffs. And we got to that game 7, and we won, as I'm sure your audience is well aware. And I remember sitting there watching it and thinking, man, I've just experienced something special. To be able to go through this period of time where I'm experiencing things on opposite ends of the human spectrum of experience. It was kind of a defining moment for me. And that was the moment that planted the seed that years later became Where the Seams Meet.
How long does it take to actually produce a book like this from the beginning of what you just told us until you get to the publisher, so to speak?
It really depends on what you consider the start. If you consider that moment, watching the Giants win the World Series, the start, it was about 10 years. But I really started to focus on this when I retired from the Marine Corps in October of 2021. It took me about 11 months to write a first, then a second, then a third really strong draft to the point where I was comfortable going out and sharing the book with the world and looking for an agent, looking for a publisher. And then it was about another year after that to really bring it all together.
Well, Patrick Holcomb is with us, Where the Seams Meet. So with that background, you understand the emotional tie that you had to baseball at that time and what it meant to you. Let's now translate it into the book, into the novel. Who are the characters? What is the story? What's the basic plot line to tell us? We don't want to give the whole story away, but give us an idea of what the book is about.
Yeah. So this is a book that baseball fans will love, particularly Giants baseball fans. And I tell people it's a multi-generational story of fathers, sons, and lives intertwined with baseball. The way that the book is constructed, I tell it in 2 parts. And the first part is from Frank's perspective, Frank Romano. And it starts in the 1950s in San Francisco. And it details his life growing up, playing baseball, loving baseball, how baseball is really the tie that binds him and his father. And then the second half of the story is told through Danny's eyes, and Danny is Frank's son. So after getting to know Frank for the first part of the book and seeing the world through his eyes, now you shift and you see not just the world, but Frank through his son Danny's eyes. And Danny is also a baseball player. And in some way, his relationship with his dad mirrors the relationship Frank had with his pop, but it's different too. And, telling it through 2 parts the way I did, it gave me the opportunity to tell a story that spans nearly 60 years. And it has a heck of a lot of Giants history wrapped up in there. And the plot revolves around that 2014 World Series.
Boy, Patrick Holcomb with us, Where the Seams Meet. Patrick, how do you promote a book like this? Is this your first effort at a novel?
It is. It is my first, maybe my last. Who knows?
Okay. Yeah, it's hard work. So tell us a little bit about how, because you're a Bay Area guy, so to speak, and it's a Bay Area story. How do you go about even doing this? So there must be so many people who listen to the show who probably have a very similar idea and say, boy, I'd love to do that. How did Patrick do it?
Well, what I've been doing is just finding different opportunities to go out and spread the word. I use social media to some degree. I've been doing podcasts. There have been a couple articles written about this, coming on this show and talking with you. But at the end of the day, the book has to stand for itself. And that's where we're at right now. The book is out there in the world, and thankfully, I'm just getting amazing feedback so far, particularly from people in the baseball community. So word of mouth is powerful. And right now, I'm just kind of riding that wave. And I'm hoping to put the story into more and more people's hands, because I know that Giants fans in particular, they're just going to love this book.
Let's talk about your baseball background a little bit. Did you play as a kid? Did you like who were your teams and who were your players and that kind of stuff?
So I did play as a kid, but, as you mentioned in my intro, I didn't play all that well. So, the writing was on the wall that I might have to find something else to do with my life. But I was always a fan, and particularly a Giants fan. I moved around a lot as a kid, and the last move of my youth was to Santa Rosa. And it was the summer before fourth grade. And moving in the summer is tough because you don't go to school, so you don't really meet as many people. So I didn't have any friends that summer, but I did have Giants baseball. And for me, that was it. I really fell in love with the team that summer. And that fanship has continued, for all of my life up to this point and, beyond as well.
Boy, glad to have Patrick with us on this Sunday morning. It's a great book. It's fiction. And I think you'll enjoy it if you enjoy baseball and, of course, connected to the San Francisco Giants in the Bay Area. You can get up at the Book Tree in Montclair. David will have it for you. So, Patrick, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. Giants lineup is out. Soler, Wade, Estrada, Chapman, Matos. Yes, he's in there. Yazzelino, Yastrzemski, Ramos, Luciano, and Casilla. And that is Hicks's pitching. Dominic Yazzelino, thinking of my good friend who was my left fielder when I pitched softball. Yes, it is Yastrzemski in the lineup. Also, Raf came up with a great idea. Raf, congratulations. Look, Raf and I have been doing this for so many years together, 19, 20 years together. We have so many participants in our contest that we've enjoyed eating at Soto Mare in North Beach. It's a great restaurant. And Raf is going to come up with a winner. Just someone who's participated in the contest at Baseball Marty on Twitter, guessing the score of the game. You don't have to win the correct score. Just for playing, for participating, you're getting an orange slice. You're going to get a dinner for two at Soto Mare. So Raph will do that randomly, and he'll connect with you. And you're going to enjoy this. You'll enjoy meeting Rich Azzelino and Laura and everyone at Soto Mare. So that's just for participating. We'll have a dinner for two at Soto Mare. So, Raph, very good. I like that idea. Very creative. All right, more coming up. Joe Sheehan joins us next. He writes the best newsletter, and we love having him on, joesheehan.com. And we'll talk a little bit about this National League West, the Rockies, and a little bit about Rickwood Field and what's coming up for the Giants when they play the Cardinals there June 20th. Scott Osler had a very good column about it today in the Chronicle, about some of the changes baseball is making. Maybe they should just leave it as the oldest field around and the old scoreboard and all that kind of stuff, but they're trying to modernize it a little bit, I'm sure, for TV and for Fox. But we'll talk a little bit about Birmingham coming up. All right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Fans, just like baseball, Georgie Brothers Furniture is full of tradition as they've served the Bay Area for over 90 years. Still a third-generation family-owned furniture showroom. Their talented staff work as a team to help their customers select the best pieces of furniture to invest in. The 50,000 square foot showroom is full of over 150 wonderful manufacturers. One of the most popular furniture lines I love and own is Stressless chairs. Stressless makes all kind of high-quality furniture, including sectional sofas, love seats, single reclining chairs, as well as the classic Stressless chair and ottoman. Now, starting March 29th and running all the way through May 28th, there is a great sale on Stressless furniture right here at Georgie Brothers. Visit the Stressless Gallery today. You'll find something that you love. That's Georgie Brothers in South San Francisco since 1933, the best source for home furnishings, or visit them at georgiebrothers.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com. Remember, tell them that Marty sent you. Fans, Bridge Bank delivers their clients full relationship banking, including treasury management solutions and global market services. Bridge Bank offers financing solutions to businesses for their working capital, equipment, and real estate needs. This is very important in today's world. Fred Voss is the Senior Managing Director of Bridge Bank's commercial lending efforts in Northern California. He has commercial banking teams in San Jose with Jesse Garcia, San Francisco, Oakland, Cheadle Cordova, and in Pleasanton. Bridge Bank, it's like banking at home. I can't say enough about it.
Prepping you for today's orange and black ball game, we now take you back to Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us as we get ready for baseball today. Joe Sheehan joins us, joesheehan.com, the very best baseball newsletter out there, and he's got a gaming newsletter as well, which is always a lot of fun to follow. Joe, how are you?
Less fun this week for the gaming newsletter. But we'll get back on the horse.
I know. I love reading it, and it's hard to pick winners in baseball games, but you do well with these prop bets, figuring out who's going to have the most bases and things like that. You're doing pretty well with that.
I enjoy the process and the write-ups, and the results are going to be what they are. It's been better than it was last year, so it's a lot of fun for me. It's a different type of writing.
I love it. I think it's great. It takes a lot of work to do it, and it's part of joesheehan.com. All right, let's talk about, look, I say the Rockies are the perfect house guest. You never want them to leave, and certainly the Giant Bats came alive. Let's assess the Giants from your point of view over the last week or so.
Yeah, obviously the injuries have been the big story. Patrick Bailey on and off the IL with a concussion. Austin Slater the same. You've had the Jung-Ho Lee injury, Michael Conforto. Soler coming off the IL, Keaton Winn. It stopped me when he reported me saying these names.
Did you say Ahmed yet? Yeah.
I haven't said Ahmed yet, in part because this kind of gets to what I'm talking about here with the Ahmed injury. This may be an opportunity for the Giants to finally make the transition, kind of been waiting for them to make for a while. The Ahmed injury it basically forced now to play Marco Luciano. They went with Ahmed ahead of Luciano in the spring. Luciano went to AAA, played well. Look, Nick Ahmed is what he is. He's a backup shortstop, a sub-300 OBP, sub-300 slugging. And while he's a plus defensive shortstop, he's not the guy he was 6 years ago with the Diamondbacks, when he also was a better hitter. Luciano is the future. He's 22. He's proven just about everything he can prove in the minor leagues. It's time to give him the chance. I would say the same for the outfielders. Lisa Matos, obviously, having a couple of big days here the last couple of days. 24 years old. Was up last year and didn't actually play all that poorly. Really good management of the strike zone as well. He was 21 last year. He was 22 this year. I think it's an opportunity for him to take a job. Helio Ramos is up. He hasn't played as well at AAA as Matos has, but he's just 24 years old. It feels like we've been talking about these guys for a long time. Ramos signed in 16, and Helio and Matos was drafted in 17. I mean, one of the things with prospects of this particular age right now is they all lost to 2020. They didn't get to play baseball at all for a key year in their development. So you wonder if their development was slowed down. So maybe now we're seeing what these players should have been if they had not lost that year of development. So the injuries are the story, but I think you take that story and you turn it into, we're going to turn this team now over to this potential core of 24 and under players.
Lamont Wade doesn't get a lot of love, but as I said to Bruce Jenkins, he's Brandon Belt 2.0. You might as well just start the count at 3-2. He's a force.
That's a great comp, actually. In today's era, to have as many strikeouts as walks is really strange. He's basically even this year. OBP 465 OBP. Remember, the league OBP right now is 312. So 465, you're on another planet. That's like Barry Bonds having 500 OBPs back when the league OBP was 345. So Wade, who I didn't think much of when he was coming up with the Twins, when the Giants picked him up, I'm like, what are they even trying to do? But he's been a contributor to them for the last couple of years. At what point? I mean, you mentioned Brandon Belt. I don't think Wade is going to be the player Belt was in terms of his career because he's older now. He's 31. Do you look at him as a trade target? Do you look at him as somebody that you shop? You've got him, I believe, under control for another 2 to 3 years, and that has value. But how much better is he going to get at 30? Starting now, he'll be 31 next year. Do you look at him as a core piece, or do you look at him as a trade chip?
Well, for me, he's a core piece until you find somebody better. And I don't mean Wilmer Flores. They have this Bryce Eldridge, this young kid at A-ball at San Jose, who's hitting the ball real well. And Ron Wotus said he really was impressed with him. Maybe as Eldridge comes along as a first baseman, then you make a move there. But let me ask you this. We talked 2 weeks ago about the fact that the offense is down. Now we're getting into the warmer months, other than San Francisco. It's getting a little warmer, and the bats should heat up a little bit, and maybe we're seeing that a little bit. Joe, the home runs are like everyone's hitting 115 miles an hour, but then again, on the other hand, every other night you're finding someone going 7 no-hit innings. So where are we in all that?
It's funny because you mentioned the seasonality, and if you look at MLB publishes the drag signatures of the baseball, and not to get too deep on a Sunday morning. I know people just waking up. Basically, how well the ball flies after it's been hit. And one of the things that's happened over the last couple of years is that the seasonality has come out of it. You talk about the ball flying better in the summertime, runs go up in the summertime. If you look the last couple of years, that actually hasn't been the case as much. It's been more of a flat throughout the season as opposed to that, ball flies better in the summer and then less so in September. So that's one of the interesting things. Remember, a couple of years ago, MLB standardized humidors across the league. It's not just Coors Field anymore. It's not just Phoenix anymore. The balls are stored in humidors throughout the league, and they've actually standardized the practices as well. And when you look now, the baseballs just aren't flying as well. A couple of days ago, Marty, league OBP got down to 311, which is an incredibly low mark. Once you get below 330, it really becomes harder to score runs. You're really reliant on just home runs. You don't get to have long sequences once the league OBP is down to under 330. The May OBP was down to 306, which is just an impossible number. It's gone up the last 2 days, up to 308. But it gets to the point I'm saying here, which is we're wondering now if the way in which they store the baseballs in the humidors is going to change seasonality. We've gone from a 314 OBP in April to a 308 OBP in May. Slugging is, I believe, about exactly the same. Are we going to get the summer bump that we're used to having? And without that, does that mean that the league OBP for the season is going to be, 313, 314, 315? This number that just makes it very hard for hitters to function. Again, Marty, it's about sequencing, right? People want to see more singles and doubles and stealing bases, but you can only do that if you can hit singles and doubles and walks and get on base. Once you're under, a certain level, you pretty much have to rely on hitting a home run.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens as the summer goes on. And we always said at Comiskey, the old Comiskey or the new Comiskey, once the summer gets here, the ball's going to be flying. But you got to get on base, and that's the big thing. The Giants the last 2 days, 32 for 75 in the last 2 games against the Rockies. So that helps the Giants' OBP a little bit, got it up to about 312 right now. So you got to get on base, and the Giants have done that the last couple of days. Someone asked me yesterday about playoff teams, and I had to make a choice between San Diego and Arizona. I took Arizona, and I'm starting to wonder about it. Arizona, San Diego, who do you like better?
Yeah, I agree that this might be the final playoff spot between these two teams. The Padres have a couple games lead. The Diamondbacks are going to get better. They'll eventually get Eduardo Rodriguez back. I think we'll see Corbin Carroll start to hit better, unless they did shoulder, in which case, who knows what's going to happen with him. I look at the Padres have been pretty healthy so far. A lot of guys playing right around the top of their range. They've won more close games than they did last year. Remember, that was the big thing last year with them. They had this horrific record in one-run games, this horrific record in extra innings. But no, I think the Diamondbacks are the slightly better team with a better chance to improve as the year goes on. A little more depth at the upper levels as well. The Padres have made so many trades, Marty, during this period of time for them when they've really been trying to contend. So they stripped their upper level depth a bit. So, yeah, I'm with you. I would go with the Diamondbacks. I do think the big factor here, because the teams are so close together, which team improves the most at the trade deadline? And it's going to be hard because last year we only had maybe 9 sellers in the entire league, and 4 of those didn't have very much to sell. The trade deadline has become a lot harder with the expanded playoffs because fewer teams are willing to give up their season. So we'll see between the Diamondbacks and Padres, A.J. Preller for the Padres, Mike Hazen for the Diamondbacks, who does the better job in July.
You know, it's funny. I love talking ball with you, as we love talking with Joe Sheehan. The newsletter is fabulous, and you got to subscribe to it. The Cardinals, and we had Katie Wu on yesterday talking about the Cardinals and all the problems, and all of a sudden I'm starting to look at the Cardinal lineup, and I know they're lefty heavy, and then I'm looking at the National League Central, and I'm saying to myself, the Cardinals can get back into this thing. They're not done.
I mean, a lot of people like them to win the division this year. Now, I had them as a wild card team. I think they'll be in that mix with the Padres and Diamondbacks still. I mean, 20 and 25 coming into today. And you're right, the offense has been a huge problem for them. Everybody they had a lot of young hitters. You mentioned the left-handed hitters, Lars Nootbaar, Nolan Gorman, Alec Burleson. That group of players, until a couple of days ago, have been having disastrous seasons and dragging the entire offense down. The only young hitter that has really been doing much is the shortstop Mason Wynn. He's supposed to be out there for his glove and his ridiculous arm, but he's actually been one of their better rookie hitters. Those guys have started to get it together here in recent days. Jordan Walker actually started the year in the majors. He got sent down, another player of that group. They're having trouble developing that group of young hitters, I might say similar to how the Giants have with these hitters that we talked about earlier in the show. I think the key for them is, what are they going to get out of Paul Goldschmidt? Paul Goldschmidt looks done, not just in the numbers, although you can see it in the numbers, but when you watch him at the plate, he looks like an old hitter who can't get around on a good fastball. Now, I don't see a scenario where the Cardinals bench him, release him, anything like that, but given that he's going to play every day, he has got to turn it around. If he doesn't, you basically got an out in the middle of the lineup. So the young hitters have to hit, but I expect them to. Goldschmidt has to hit, and I'm less confident that he's got anything left.
Boy, we'll see. And we'll see. They're starting to play a little better baseball, and it is the Cardinals. And that's the thing. You always have to keep your eye on them. You always have to watch them. Well, the Giants bring Snell back this week. He's had 2 great rehab starts. They'll get Skeens probably on Thursday, Jared Jones on Wednesday. So it's going to be an interesting week, and I can't wait to read the newsletter and the gaming newsletter and talk to you in a couple of weeks. So next week, Giants and Mets as well. So we got plenty to do, and I think next time you and I talk, I think it's Giants and Yankees. So have a good couple of weeks here.
Marty, is the Skeens and Jones, are the Pirates coming to San Francisco, or is that in
That's
Pittsburgh?
in Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh.
Oh, I was going to say, because if fans have a chance to get out and see these two, it's must-see baseball. It's just 2 power arms. The Pirates with some optimism for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, this is going to be good. All right, talk to you a couple of weeks. Thanks, Joe. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Always a pleasure, boy. It's good stuff. All right. Well, that's the show for today. We'll be back with you next weekend early, 7 a.m. both days, Saturday and Sunday, and the Giants will be in New York. Coming up now, Walter Moore with our Giants pregame right here, KNBR 680 1045. Have a good day, everybody.
Seam heads, start cracking those peanuts and spitting those seeds, because gloves are soon to be popping.
He makes a headlong dive and makes the catch.
And bats are going to get cracking.
Blast one! Deep right field! Gone!
Welcome to KNBR's Giants Warm-Up.
Way back there! Goodbye!
On the Sports Leader.
What's up, Giants fans, and welcome to the Giants warm-up on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader. I am your host, Walter Icabreseta, taking you all the way up to first pitch 105 between the Rockies and the Giants. And the Giants done messed around and got themselves a winning streak. Who would have thought? You love it. You love it when the Rockies come to town. They are a big league club, but this was a get-right series for the Giants, and everyone is starting to hit. So they're going for their first sweep of the year. Come out to the ballpark. Come out to Oracle Park. Bring your brooms. It's going to be a fun day at the yard. Beautiful day for some day baseball on a Sunday. So, yes, the Giants are going for their first sweep against the Rockies. Jordan Hicks is on the mound. But, all season long we've been talking about the woes of the Giants offense and the pitching that has been phenomenal. And, yes, we will talk about Jordan Hicks a little bit later in the Giants warm-up show. But that's not the storyline today. The storyline is that we have now reached the point of the season where it is Matos Mania. It is the Matos Mania portion of the season. This guy has just provided a huge spark, a jolt of energy where you have even some of his teammates, Kyle Harrison, which we'll hear from in just a little bit. Kyle Harrison coming out and just talking about the energy that the young guys, not only Matos, but Elliot Ramos and Marco Luciano, that has brought to this Giants team. So it's a good thing that that these rookies, that these young guys are coming in and providing that type of spark, because prior to all the injuries, I mean, it was looking bleak for the San Francisco Giants and their offense. I mean, you just go through all the injuries that has happened since the calendar turnover to the month of May. It started with Patrick Bailey, who has his concussion situation that's going on. But you just go down the list. Then it was followed up with Tom Murphy. Then Jorge Soler landed back on the IL with that shoulder strain, but he's come back and he looks like a different animal as well. We'll talk about Jorge Soler. I love what he is doing in the batter's box now. Nick Ahmed goes on the IL, and you just kind of just keep going through it. Michael Conforto, and then the big one was Jung-Hoo Lee, which that hurt, I think, this Giants clubhouse and the Giants fan base, because Jung-Hoo Lee was one of the most exciting at bats or exciting players on this team in this early part of the season. But so you go through all these injuries and you're looking at this lineup and you're looking at everyone that is out there in the field, and it looks like the Sacramento River Cats. But up until recently, this back end of this homestand, and starting with that last game, fighting off a sweep of the LA Dodgers, it was all started with Matos. I mean, Elliot Ramos came in there and he was showing off the arm strength, the cannon that he has, that he's able to bring to this team, which is huge. But then you see that robbed home run from Teoscar Hernandez with Luis Matos, and again, it was a moment where it happened. It was a great play, one of Papa's plays of the week. If you're listening to KNBR 10-2, we do that every Friday, and that was the top play of the week. Luis Matos robbing Teoscar Hernandez in center field, and he slammed into the wall, and immediately, I just, because of how everything has been going, you just think that, oh, man, there goes another guy. Another guy is on the IL. Thankfully, he is fine. And just since that moment, Luis Matos, I don't know if it was just a boost of confidence that it comes. He just looks so comfortable. And I mentioned, you had the San Francisco River Cats playing, right? No, these are San Francisco Giants. That is what you are getting now with this young core of teams. So I'm going to throw it out to the phone lines in this first segment. I want to get your thoughts on this youth movement of the San Francisco Giants. We saw a lot of it last year. A lot of guys making their debuts last year, but this year it has a different feel to it. There's a lot of different elements to it that these guys are showing a lot of confidence. So how are you feeling about this young group of San Francisco Giants that are making an impact? Luis Matos, Elliot Ramos. Are you comfortable with this team moving forward? Because as of recently, I mean, Luis Matos has been the jolt of energy. And again, yesterday, I buried the lead, Raph. I buried the lead. Yesterday, they won. They're going streaking. The Giants have a win streak for the first time in this season. They have struggled to win 3 in a row. And now they follow that up with a chance to cap off this homestand and have a sweep of the Colorado Rockies. Yes, man, it's incredible time. So come out to the yard, bring your brooms. It's a beautiful day for some baseball. But the fact that the Giants haven't been able to win 3 games consecutively up to this point, they were the last team to do so in Major League Baseball, and you almost feel that it was weighing on this San Francisco Giants team that they weren't able to get in a good groove. And now that they have found it, this is a crucial part of the schedule. I mean, we were talking about it last weekend when we were on the patio, 58 Social. This is a grueling part of the season with the Dodgers coming in. We had the Reds last weekend, and then you have the Rockies, but then you go on to this road trip, and it's a tough road trip. You're playing against the Paul Skeens led Pittsburgh Pirates. You're going to see Skeens on Wednesday, I believe, is where it lines up with that lineup. But you're going to get the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are playing good baseball right now. You have the New York Mets after that. And then you have a huge series against the Philadelphia Phillies. And we remember the last time that the Giants went into Philadelphia for that 4-game series. It's a series that you would like to forget because it just wasn't a competitive series for the San Francisco Giants. So you have all that going on. You have the Phillies coming in. Then you have the Yankees. It's just a grueling stretch. So the fact that this Giants offense is starting to click, starting to get some momentum, positivity going, that is what this team needs. And Kyle Harrison had his thoughts after winning yesterday. They won their first 3 games in a row, and this was his thoughts after the game.
Definitely, it feels like we've kind of been rolling it sometimes, and just haven't got the things kind of rolling in a way to go our way. And I think that just sticking it out and great at bats today, great plays in the outfield, and we just need to keep it up.
Yeah, they just got to keep it up. That is the thing with the San Francisco Giants and baseball in general. It is just a grind every at bat. So it is huge that they are starting to feel good about themselves right now. So Kyle Harrison later went on and talked about Luis Matos, because Luis Matos is the story of this back end of the homestand, where he comes in again. He steals the home run from Teoscar Hernandez, and he also made a spectacular play yesterday. And it just feels like his defense, and that's also been a talk of or a point of emphasis with Luis Matos, is that his defense was a question mark, right? And I think with the back end of this homestand, and it is a small sample size, but you see him rob that home run of Teoscar Hernandez, and you just keep moving forward. He has gained confidence in that, and you're just starting to see what type of player that Luis Matos can potentially be. So Kyle Harrison was also talking about Luis Matos and that spectacular catch, and here's what he had to say.
Just from personal experience, saving my butt out in the outfield, so I owe him something out there. But guy's a gamer. He's been a spark, and I think all the older guys are feeding off the younger guys coming up, and it's been great vibes here.
Yeah, great vibes, and that is all stemming from Luis Matos being the defensive presence of the San Francisco Giants and the offensive presence for the San Francisco Giants. It is just huge things coming for the youngster that is making a huge impact. And it's not only him. I mean, it's him and Elliot Ramos, and it is him and Marco Luciano. And the fact that these guys are coming up together, Luis Matos yesterday was saying, we all kind of talked about it, that it was going to happen, that we would all be up at the same time, and they just have to make the best of their opportunities. And these opportunities were sparked by injuries. I mean, they were having decent seasons in AAA, but they are here by necessity of injury, and you just have to take that opportunity and run with it. That's just in baseball and in life. You just have to take that opportunity and run with that opportunity and make the best of it. But Bo Mel, he spoke after the game yesterday, and just positive vibes. That's the thing with the enthusiasm of this youth group. He talks about how these 3 in particular, Ramos, Luciano, and Matos, have helped spark the clubhouse in recent days.
Look, I mean, it's always going to be more than 26. Obviously, we've had some tough luck as far as the injuries go, but it gives somebody else an opportunity, and we kind of have this youthful enthusiasm going here, and I think it's picked us up. Obviously, you don't want to lose guys, but you know what? We're swinging the bat really well, and I think the vibe in the dugout's probably as good as it's been.
Yeah, and that's all that it takes. I mean, these guys are starting to put together good at-bats, and you look at what Matt Chapman is doing, and we'll talk about Matt Chapman a little bit later, but you see what Matt Chapman has done in the last 2 days. I mean, everyone's talking about Luis Matos, but Matt Chapman is 7 for 8, has a couple doubles there as well. So you start seeing this team, and speaking on the doubles, yesterday we had the huge home run with Luis Matos in the bottom of the first inning. But this Giants team had 9 doubles. 9 doubles. That is the type of offense that plays in this ballpark and deep into the playoffs, into October, because you figure you're playing against, and maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves and talking about October, but I'm just saying, when you get into the playoffs, you face much better pitchers, elite pitchers, to where the long ball isn't necessarily going to be it's going to be a rarity in the playoffs. So the fact that you can string together doubles and keep the guys moving, that's how you get a rally going. But yeah, the youth movement of this Giants team with Matos and with Luciano and Ramos, I mean, it is just, you can just tell the vibe is different. The vibe is different. The energy level is a little bit different. And I think it's for the better. So Bo Mel later went on to talk about Luis Matos, who has been tearing it up. He has 11 RBIs. 11 RBIs in the last 2 days, 17 on the year, which is, I believe it's 4th highest on the San Francisco Giants already. This guy's been up for a week, so he is tearing it up absolutely at this stage, and you just love to see it with Luis Matos. But Bo Mel later went on to talk about Luis Matos, what he's doing, and what type of accolades that he should receive later into the week.
Man, that's a lot of RBIs. Just seems like he's tracking the ball, every time up, and aggressive. He's wearing that left center field gap out. It's in looking at his numbers before he came up, really inspired about, getting here. Some of the numbers for some of our guys weren't good on the way here. But, look, it's like player of the week stuff that he's doing right now.
Yeah, 100% player of the week for the San Francisco Giants and all of baseball. I mean, he's doing things that haven't been done since 1920. I mean, Luis Matos looks and is playing the part for the San Francisco Giants right now. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the San Francisco Giants, on Luis Matos? Can this continue? And I mean, just how does everyone feel? I mean, when you look at this lineup now, and we'll run through the lineup really quick, but when you look at this lineup now, it just looks like a lineup that is that's exciting to watch. That is really exciting to watch. So let's go through the starting lineup for today. You have Jorge Soler, which is a very interesting move to have him in the leadoff spot. The first time that I saw it earlier this homestand, I kind of had my head turned sideways, and I didn't really understand it too much. But Jorge Soler has come back, and that's a huge guy. When you talk about X factors of a lineup of a team, Jorge Soler, I think that he is the biggest factor to this Giants offense in being productive. I'm not saying that everything is on Jorge Soler. I'm not saying that at all. But Jorge Soler, if good things happen with him, then good things will surround him in this Giants lineup. And you have him in that leadoff spot today. He is 4 for 9 since coming back from the injured list. He looks healthy. He looks comfortable. He looks confident. That's what you want to see from the big slugger for the San Francisco Giants. So Jorge Soler is batting leadoff in the DH spot. You have Lamont Wade Jr., who continues his streak of getting on base. I believe it's at 18 games now. Lamont Wade Jr. is batting second at first base. Thairo Estrada just continues to put together strong at-bats and comes in clutch situations. So Thairo Estrada in that 3-hole at second base. You have Matt Chapman, again, who I just said went 7 for 8 in his last 2 games. His OPS has jumped up from 580 to 680. Hey, shout out KNBR 680. But Matt Chapman is in the cleanup spot at third base. You have Luis Matos again. You'd love to see this lineup now. It just looks like a major league lineup now with the production of this offense, and this is potentially what this offense can be and what it was expected to be. Again, not going to hit home runs left and right, but when you start putting together singles, doubles, and then occasional power, that is what this offense can do for you. So you have Luis Matos in the 5 spot in center field, playing a fantastic center field to finish out this homestand. You got Mike Yastrzemski batting 6th in right field. Elliot Ramos in left field, and might be one of the strongest arms that I've seen in recent years from the outfield spot. So Elliot Ramos batting 7th in left field. Marco Luciano at shortstop batting 8th, and then Kurt Casale. He's the unsung hero. We are undefeated. Giants are undefeated since Kurt Casale. Yes, Raph, thank you. Kurt Casale, the Giants are undefeated since Kurt Casale has come on to the San Francisco Giants. So that's something to watch there. He is behind home plate today and catching Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks is going to continue to put out good starts. The brightest spot, I think, of the Giants rotation outside of Logan Webb is Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks has been phenomenal, and something that I was looking at when I was looking at the statistics with Jordan Hicks, it was that he has only gone 5 innings for his last 2 starts, but he has gone into the 6th, beyond the 5th, into the 6th 3 times this season. All 3 times have been at home, so maybe we can see that again today. But let's run through that lineup one more time. Leading off, Jorge Soler, Lamont Wade Jr., Tyro Estrada, Matt Chapman, Luis Matos, Mike Yastrzemski, Elliot Ramos, Marco Luciano, and Kurt Casale. So on the other side, we're going to be speaking with Robert Flores. We're going to talk about the Giants in the national perspective, but then we're also going to talk about some big superstars that came through this past homestand and who the Giants are going to be playing in Pittsburgh. Paul Skeens will get his thoughts on that coming up next. You're listening to the Giants warm-up show on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
While Bob Melvin preps the men in orange and black, we'll prep you for today's ball game as our Giants warm-up continues on the Sports Leader.
All right, welcome back to the Giants warm-up show on KNBR, the Sports Leader. Now we shift our focus from the local perspective. We'll get the national perspective as now I am joined by Robert Flores of MLB Network, and you can catch him every day on MLB Central at 6 a.m. in the morning on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on or 6 a.m. West Coast, 9 a.m. East Coast with Mark DeRosa, Lauren Shahadi, and it is always a pleasure to speak with Robert Flores. Roflo, what's up, man? It's been a while. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Yeah, we come on early out in the Pacific time zone. We're 6 a.m. out west, but 9 a.m. Eastern. So hopefully that we can get some folks in the West Coast to join us a little earlier than normal, maybe.
Hey, man, that's when I start my commute. That's when I'm getting up and getting ready to come into the station. So definitely have it on my phone. So I'm definitely chiming in, man. Love the work that you guys do on MLB Central.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right, Robert. Well, so I mean, we haven't spoken in a while, but I just want to start with the San Francisco Giants, being that we are in the Bay Area. I'd like to get your assessments of the Giants to this point versus what you thought of this team coming into the 2024 season, because they had a lot of offseason moves. A lot of them were late with Matt Chapman and Blake Snell, but they have Jorge Soler. Just what is your assessment of the San Francisco Giants team to this point in mid-May?
Well, I feel like we haven't really seen the full, complete team yet. It's certainly for period. Blake Snell signed late, obviously. I think in retrospect, I think maybe he should have started a little bit later, but that's neither here nor there. He's going to be fine. I think it was just, the ramp up of the schedule, the timing. It's just very difficult, I think, for guys to hit the ground running when they're coming in late like he is. Offensively, look, they've struggled. Jorge Soler, I know he's beginning a rehab assignment very soon. Matt Chapman is really yet to find his stride. So I don't think we've seen quite the best of the San Francisco Giants, but that's not to say that the best of the Giants might not be around the corner, okay? But as we have seen, all you have to do is get in. Just get into the playoffs and let's see what happens. And I think the Giants, if they round into form, they can certainly make a run.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we've seen it time and time again in the early 2010s, right? With 2010, 2012, 2014, you have to have a solid rotation. And I think that is what the calling card is for the San Francisco Giants team. Yes, there are still questions what Jordan Hicks can do down the line, down the stretch of the season, if Kyle Harrison can keep up his momentum of his good starts that he's had in the month of May. I mean, there's a lot of things that are a what if for the Giants right now to this point. But when you have Logan Webb, who finished second in the Cy Young, and you have Blake Snell, who the better days, like you mentioned, better days should be ahead of Blake Snell when he does return from the IL for the San Francisco Giants. But that's a thing. I mean, when you look at teams, there's turnover rates, a lot of changes for teams, especially for this San Francisco Giants team. And not only guys in the lineup, Robert, it's guys from the coaching staff. It's an entirely new group with some holdovers, but it's just a new group to start the 2024 season, and then they're dealing with tons of injuries as well early on. So, but even before that, the team was struggling to really mesh. But is that just a product of what we've seen in years past, not only with the Giants, but with other teams that bring in multiple free agents, and it just takes a while for things to get going?
Yeah, listen, anytime you have a roster turnover, anytime you bring in free agents, and especially when those free agents come in late, then you have to deal with injuries. So it has been, I feel like it's been a lot of start and stop with this San Francisco Giants team. But as I said, I mean, they still got time. All they need to do is just hang on until those reinforcements arrive. As far as injuries go, look, they are not the only team that is dealing with injuries, especially in the pitching staff. So it's in a lot of ways, this season has always been, the Major League season has always been a war of attrition. Who can who can go the longest they can for the best they can. And the Giants are finding that out. And right now it's been a little, like I said, a little start and stop, but that's not to say that they can't turn it around.
Yeah, and I mean, you just kind of look around the National League, and we're talking with Robert Flores of MLB Network, MLB Central, during the week, weekdays, 6 a.m. on the West Coast, 9 a.m. on the East Coast. But that's the thing when you kind of look around the National League, Robert, is that a lot of teams are underperforming. If you're not named the Phillies or the Dodgers or the Braves, I mean, a lot of teams are underperforming to where even with all of the injuries and the offensive woes to the San Francisco Giants, they're still in it. And of course, they're going to be in it in May, but they're still in the thick of things when you look to the National League wild card. And as we go into the summer months, I mean, this team starts to get healthy, things can turn around quickly.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, they've got the pieces, right, for having a successful season. They have the pieces of a playoff team. They have two horses at the top of their rotation in Blake Snell and Logan Webb. They've got a shutdown closer in Camilo Doval. They've got proven offensive players in Soler and Chapman and Conforto. But for a variety of reasons, it hasn't come together. I think the Jung-Hoo Lee injury really hurts them. So it's like I said, it's hard for me to give an assessment of what this Giants team is and what it can be, just because there's so many pieces that are not there, or for whatever reason, or they're underperforming, or they haven't quite hit their stride. So I just keep going back to just hang on. Just hang around till you get to hang around that 500 mark. Yep. And then once the reinforcements come back, maybe some guys start rounding back into form, then you're ready to go, and then you see where you're at.
Now, I do want to stay in the West as we're talking about the San Francisco Giants, Robert, but the NL West, I mean, we knew that it was going to be the Dodgers division to lose, right? And the Dodgers did come in to San Francisco, and we were able to see San Francisco fans for the first time. I was able to go down to Chavez Ravine earlier in the year and see Shohei Ohtani up close and personal. But Shohei Ohtani, just I mean, this guy is incredible. I went to 2 of the 3 games out here in San Francisco earlier this week against the Giants, or with the Giants and the Dodgers. Ohtani was on full display. I don't know if you saw that mammoth home run that was Bonds territory, man. It was Bonds territory, and this guy could win MVP every single year that he plays. Do you think that Ohtani could get to Bonds territory as we're talking about that MASH home run? But do you think that he can get to Bonds territory when it comes to MVPs? I mean, when you look at the longevity of Barry Bonds and the comparison of Shohei Ohtani has 2 in his first 6 full seasons, and Bonds had 2 in his first 7 with Pittsburgh. So I mean, where can Ohtani go with that? Can he get anywhere near the 7 of Barry?
Yeah, because Barry didn't pitch, and Barry wasn't a frontline starter. Mm-hmm. So, look, there's never been a full-time designated hitter to win MVP. I think Shohei is going to put that to the test this year. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to win, because I have a feeling that the writers and whoever vote on the MVP, I think they're going to be a little hesitant in giving him the MVP, because he is a full-time DH. That being said, when he starts pitching again and he starts looking like he has been throughout his career on the mound, if he's going to keep doing that, then yes, he is going to win MVP every year. I mean, I don't know what else to – I don't see how you can deny him. He's Matt Olson, and he is a frontline starter, and he's the same guy. I mean, he's Matt Olson production, and then he's a frontline starter. So it's unbelievable what he's doing, and it really is. It's a privilege to watch him do what he's doing, and I think as baseball fans, we should all consider ourselves lucky that we get a chance to watch him play.
Yeah, well, and then you see, obviously, you mentioned with him being a two-way player, that's what puts him above the top. And you look at the years that he didn't win the MVPs, and quite frankly, the year that he didn't win the MVP, he might have had a better year than he did the previous year, and that was only because Aaron Judge made history. So it's like, when Ohtani is a two-way player, does it take something historic? Like, I look at last year, if Ohtani was in the National League at that point, how would you compare the Ronald Acuna historic season to Shohei Ohtani and that matchup of an MVP race of last year? You know what I mean? Like, does it take something historic to kind of take that shine away from Ohtani potentially winning it every year?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have Shohei Ohtani's pitching numbers in front of me, but I don't know. Maybe you could pull it up. I think he was double figures in wins. I think his ERA was maybe a tick above 3. I don't know off the top of my head, but I mean, I always go back to the word that's in the trophy or the award, valuable. Value. That comes from the word value. I mean, I don't know how much more value a guy can have when, as I said, he is a middle of the order bat and he's a frontline starter and he's the same dude. He occupies one roster spot, and the Dodgers are paying him. What are they paying him? $200,000 with like the rest of it deferred or something this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know. So I don't. Like I said, if he's going to keep pitching at the top of the rotation and then hitting bombs and driving in 100+ runs, seriously, I don't see how you don't give it to him every year. And like you said, yeah, maybe last year if he was in the National League, maybe we still give it to Acuna because Acuna is playing a premium. Well, he's playing a corner outfield position now, but he's stealing bases, he's hitting tanks, he's driving in runs. But he had an historic season, so maybe Acuna gets the edge. But, yeah, if Ohtani's going to keep pitching and hitting like he does, he's going to be in the mix for an MVP just about every year.
Yeah, we're talking with Robert Flores of MLB Network, and we're talking about guys that were just recently in San Francisco, and that was Shohei Ohtani. But I kind of want to get your thoughts on another guy. He wears a red uniform, Elly De La Cruz. I mean, this guy is just stealing bases at will. Is there a possibility? Because Robert, I've never seen Ricky Henderson. I know everybody's talked about him out here in the Bay Area, and his numbers stealing bases were godlike. But when you look at Elly De La Cruz, man, I mean, you see him get on base, and I'm just like, yeah, he's going to end up at third base within a couple of pitches because he just takes any base at will. Is there a possibility that he has 30? He's in the 30s right now for stolen bases on the year so far. Is there a possibility that he gets up to Ricky Henderson numbers?
Yeah, I think we talked about it this morning that he's on pace for, I think it was 100 plus stolen bases, and I think I have it right. It hasn't been done since Vince Coleman back in the day. I mean, because he with the new rules, and also look, there's a lot of pitchers that, quite frankly, don't hold runners. On Thursday, Tyler Glasnow, man, he's got that big leg kick, and look, he's looking to strike dudes out, and I don't really think that holding runners probably isn't very high on his list of priorities. He's there to get outs, and he's there to strike dudes out and throw 100. But Elly De La Cruz, with the new rules and the bigger bases and his speed, look, man, I would be, at this point, I would be shocked if he did not get to 100.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I mean, you talk about pitchers not being able to hold runners, or it's not an emphasis on the part of the game in today's baseball. I mean, the same could be said about the effectiveness of catchers. I mean, all the catchers are more concerned about frame rate than it is holding on runners. Yeah,
I mean, look, when a stolen base happens, there's a chance that it's not just on the catcher, but it's on the pitcher.
Right. Or
maybe it's on both. You do see a lot of catchers on their knees now, trying to get that low strike. So framing is definitely a high priority. But as a baseball fan, I love it. I love that the stolen base is now part of, once again, the offensive game plan. I love the idea of small ball, first to third. just more action. So I love it, and I love watching Ellie De La Cruz play.
Yeah, you know what I love? I love talking ball with Robert Flores. Robert, man, I really appreciate the time. It's always fun talking with you. We didn't even get into the American League. Maybe we'll do that next time. We'll talk about the Yankees and Juan Soto and Paul Skeens. The Giants are going to be seeing Paul Skeens. Have you seen anything on Paul Skeens? What's your early take on Paul Skeens in Pittsburgh?
I know he throws a billion. I know that. And, our Mark DeRosa said that he watched every pitch of Skeens at the College World Series last year, and he said he's one of the most one of the most polished college pitchers he's ever seen. So the sky's the limit. The Pirates, it's time for the Pirates to make a move. They've got Skeens, they've got Jared Jones, and they've got Mitch Keller. So those are three really, really good pitchers at the top of their rotation. So I'm hoping that for that franchise and for their fans, that they make a run. They push to get into the postseason because they have a potential to be in a really exciting, talented team.
Yeah, love the Pittsburgh Pirates. If I had to have a second team, Robert, that'd probably be my team. Huge Roberto Clemente fan, where you record MLB Central in the Roberto Clemente studios, Studio 21.
Yeah, Studio 21, named after Roberto Clemente.
Yeah,
You're
man,
absolutely right.
That's my guy. But yeah, Pittsburgh. That is who the Giants are facing after they close out this homestand. And Paul Skeens, I think he's lined up for Tuesday for the Giants. So we'll get all the Giants fans will be able to see what Paul Skeens can do. Robert Flores, again, thank you so much for stopping by the show. Really appreciate it, and we'll talk soon, man.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right, and that was the great Robert Flores of MLB Network. You can catch him on MLB Central at 6 a.m. If you're up at 6 a.m. Like I am, go ahead and turn on MLB Central for sure while you have Murph and Mac on the radio. Or Murph and Marcus on the radio. So a lot to unpack there with the San Francisco Giants. Giants are heading to Pittsburgh. They are heading to Pittsburgh to face Paul Skeens, and the Pittsburgh Pirates are playing good ball right now. Paul Skeens will be on Thursday, rather. It will not be on Tuesday. It'll be on Thursday. So, which it's going to be interesting because the Giants, I mean, we were talking a great deal about the health of this San Francisco Giants team, and the Giants fighting through the injury woes. It's provided a lot of adversity, and I think that this team is starting to come together now. When you see how they are performing offensively with the young guys now for the San Francisco Giants. So when they go on the road, they will look to have some more reinforcements. We have an injury update provided by Alex Pavlovich. We will get to that on the other side. So we'll give you that injury update for the Giants on the road trip as they head to Pittsburgh. And we'll talk more about this Giants team, this Giants offense, because we spent a great deal talking about the young guys on this team. And you can't forget the veterans. You can't forget the veterans. I know that the young players with Luis Matos and Ramos and Luciano, they're providing that jolt, that spark of the and lifting a little bit of the weight off of the shoulders of a Matt Chapman, of a Jorge Soler, but they are starting to turn it around as well. So now you can start seeing this offense clicking on all cylinders, and it is coming at a crucial time where they go to Pittsburgh, go to New York, come back and play the Phillies and the Yankees. So we'll give you that update on reinforcements coming up on the other side. You're listening to Giants Warm-Up Show on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
1-2. Chapman swings, lines it into right. He's got another hit. Over towards the line. Bouchard over. He can't cut it off. It'll roll to the 3:09 marker. Bouchard trouble digging it out. Chapman around second. On his way to third, and he'll slide in safely there. Well ahead of the relay throw. The fourth hit today for Matt Chapman.
It's almost time for hot dogs, peanuts, cold beers, and orange and black baseball. Our Giants warm-up rolls on the sports leader.
All right, welcome back to the Giants warm-up show on KNBR, the sports leader, taking you all the way up to 105. Game start. The Giants and the Rockies. Giants are going for their first sweep of the season. They have won 3 games in a row. They are streaking now, 3 games in a row for the first time all season. Let's keep the good times rolling. But we came in with Matt Chapman. We'll talk more about Matt Chapman in just a second, because I mean, when you look at these veterans, they have been pressing all season long. It just seemed like there was a lot of pressure on these guys to perform. And Bob Melvin even spoke about it yesterday, pregame or postgame, that Matt Chapman puts a lot of pressure on himself. So it is a big thing to see that he is starting to. There's things that he's changed in his swing that now he is starting to put together solid ABs, and you just love to see that from the veteran third baseman for the San Francisco Giants. But before we get into more on Matt Chapman, we will give you this injury update provided by Alex Pavlovic. He did come on and say on Twitter that Blake Snell is going to be starting on Wednesday in Pittsburgh, sliding in behind Logan Webb. And then it's possible that the Giants go bullpen game on Thursday with Mason Black. And again, that is the game that the Giants are facing off against Paul Skeens. But the big news there, Blake Snell will start Wednesday in Pittsburgh. So Alex Pavlovich of NBC Sports Bay Area. That is huge. And that's a big thing when you look at this Giants team. The pitching staff has actually been pretty good, pretty consistent. So they haven't had a lot of lack of production, I guess. They haven't had they haven't missed Blake Snell in the sense of there were pitchers that were coming in and putting together solid outings. But now you add a Cy Young Award winner, and I mean his last outing in Sacramento on Friday night, 10 Ks. It's really impressive. I know in San Jose he went and did an immaculate inning and he pitched really well. But I mean, they're young hitters. But for him to have to do that in Sacramento against that level of competition, it is impressive. And you're hoping that Blake Snell can come and be that Cy Young Award winner that the Giants thought and believe that he can be coming into the 2024 season. So it's huge for Blake Snell to come back. He will be starting on Wednesday in Pittsburgh. So that is a huge shot to the arm. But also, I mean, when you start to look at this Giants team, and we were talking about it with Robert Flores earlier today in that interview, and if you missed any of that, you can go ahead and check it out. It plays on the weekends on Rounding Third and King podcast, so go ahead and check that out on KNBR where you get your podcast. It'll be on there. And I also spoke with Maria Guardado in that same episode, so it was a great baseball conversation for that hour on Rounding Third and King. But when we spoke with Robert Flores, we were talking about the injuries and the Giants and the assessment of what this Giants team can be. It's really hard to tell because the Giants team just hasn't been all together at the same time. There's been tons of injuries, and that's part of the game. I mean, baseball is a game of attrition. Like you just have to be the best team, but also the healthiest team. That is a huge part of it. It's a long season. That is what the baseball season is. But when guys start coming back, like Blake Snell, and I know that he is on the pitching staff and in the rotation, that adds, a boost of confidence, I think, for the lineup also, knowing that a guy can go out there and pitch 5-6 shutout innings, and that's what you get with Blake Snell. But when you start looking at Jorge Soler came back, and Jorge Soler, since he has come back from the IL, he's 4 for 9, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, has a run, has a walk, and has not struck out yet. So, and that's all from coming from the leadoff position, which is huge. But Jorge Soler looks comfortable. He looks healthy. He looks like he figured it out. And it's going to be interesting to see where he can go from this point and taking it on the road. And the team is just starting to feel good about themselves. Now you look at Matt Chapman, and Matt Chapman is going to be the point of emphasis here, because Matt Chapman, he was the big signing, obviously with Jorge Soler. Jorge Soler signed first, but Matt Chapman comes in, and he was a Bo Mel guy. That is who Bob Melvin wanted, and we know that their relationship stems back to the Oakland days, right, when they were all together across the bay, and they have a really strong relationship. And Bob Melvin, or Matt Chapman, is essentially an extension of what Bob Melvin is in the clubhouse for the players. So you can just tell that there was a lot of pressure that was put on him, and self-imposed. I mean, that's just what the greats do. They put a lot of pressure on themselves. But when other guys in the lineup are starting to pick you up, and you start to figure it out, that's where the veteran presence of Matt Chapman is starting to come out. We're starting to see it. I mean, he's 7 for 8 in his last 2 games for the San Francisco Giants. And it's just a good feeling when everyone in the lineup is having good at bats. So this is Matt Chapman talking about his ABs and everyone's ABs in the Giants lineup so far.
Absolutely. I think it was just a matter of time. We were obviously scuffling there for a little bit as a group, and obviously, three wins in a row is great. We still have a lot of work to do, but it's nice when we're stringing at bats together like that. We've had some injuries, some guys go down, and some young guys step up, and they brought some life into the dugout. They're having fun, and we're just feeding off of it, and it feels like everybody's kind of pitching in, and it's hard to beat us when everybody up and down the lineup's taking good at bats like that.
Yeah, it can be extremely hard to beat this team, and you see what they've done in the last 2 games, and it's against the Rockies, and some people will look at this and it's against the Rockies, like you can't really take it, but the Rockies are a major league team, and the fact that they are able to capitalize on playing the Rockies and put together strong ABs, that is huge for the San Francisco Giants team, and they're feeling good. That is there's a lot of momentum in the Giants dugout right now, and that comes from the young guys that are picking up the veterans, and now it's time for the veterans to contribute as well, which Matt Chapman and Jorge Soler have done, and that was the thing. I mean, when you start looking at Matt Chapman, he was putting the bat on the ball. He was having good contact, but it wasn't great contact, and his swing was I think it was top 10% of speed. His swing speed was just phenomenal, but you kind of look at all these statistics and it's like, well, why isn't that translating to hits? And that's just because the sweet spot, he's not getting the ball on the sweet spot. He is in the lower 17% of that statistic. So now Matt Chapman has kind of figured it out and knows and made adjustments to his swing. So this is what Matt Chapman had to say about why he is having so much more success at the back end of this homestand.
Absolutely. Baseball is a game of momentum, and you can feel it. Obviously, it's maybe not the same kind of momentum as some other sports, but there's momentum in the dugout. When guys are scuffling and things aren't going well, it's hard to kind of get some of that energy and those things going. So when we're swinging the bats well and we're scoring runs, and it feels like putting guys on base and getting runs in every inning, it's easy to have that energy, and we just got to keep it going and keep building off it for sure.
Yeah, that was on the Giants' momentum. The Giants are feeling good about themselves right now, all up and down the lineup, and it's just contagious now. And that's what you're seeing with the San Francisco Giants. But let's go to Matt Chapman, cut D, Raph. Let's go to cut D for Matt Chapman, and he talks about his swing and what changes that he's made, and why he is 7 for 8 in his last 2 games.
I felt I had been taking good at bats, just not really getting anything to show for it. Obviously, kind of just a little inconsistent, but these last couple days really found something that's been working, just trying to be easy, trying to be early, and just kind of working on my timing, just trying to be ready to hit earlier and give myself more of an opportunity to just be athletic and use my athleticism in the box. So it's really worked out these last couple days, and just trying to build on it because just trying to help this team win.
Yeah, and if this Giants team wants to win and get this sweep of the Rockies and continue to win into the month of June and into the month of the summer months, and they want to be competitive, Matt Chapman will be a guy that they are going to need to be an offensive presence. But we will get you the lineup. We have a standings update. We love doing the standings update, especially when the Giants have won 3 in a row. We'll do the standings update on the other side. We'll give you the Giants lineup and Giants Rockies 105. Come out to the ballpark. Giants going for the sweep. We'll talk about that on the other side. Get you ready for the Giants pregame show on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Now back to the show built for the orange and black family. This is Giants Warm Up on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, welcome back to the Giants warm-up show as we get you ready for the pregame show starting in a few minutes here. Just real quick before I get out to the standings update, got to give a shout out to everyone in the YouTube chat. Always in there every weekend. So Gut Thinker, It's X, Greg Dayton, all you guys love when you guys are chiming in and really bringing the energy in that YouTube chat. But let's get you the standings update. And that is brought to you and sponsored by the Alameda County Probation Department. Visit joinacpd.org today for a career that matters. Giants currently third in the NL West, trail the Padres by 1 game, and the Dodgers sitting right at the top. They have leapfrogged the Arizona Diamondbacks, and that is your standings update. Giants, Rockies going for the sweep on the other side. You're listening to KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.